Chapter 1453. Impact. Princess Xianxia's finely embroidered palace dress was clearly unsuitable, and she had already changed into the attire of the Qingdi nobility. Accompanied by Qiao Xian and Auntie Si, she engaged in conversations with the noble ladies of Qingdi. Even though Qingdi had arranged for servants who could speak the Great Qin language to assist them, communication between the two sides remained somewhat challenging. Thankfully, the ambience at the gathering was genuinely festive. Communication difficulties mattered less when the atmosphere was lively and joyous. Throughout the night, Princess Xiangfu appeared awkward and reserved. Qiao Wei, too, was a bit intimidated by the exuberance of the Qingdi people. However, Qiao Xian stood out from the rest. Having come from the modern world, she had no qualms about mingling with people of the opposite sex. It was common for men and women to socialize on the beach during the summer in her world. While Qingdi's enthusiasm might be overwhelming to others, it meant nothing to Qiao Xian. With Qiao Xian's presence, she provided Princess Xiangfu with comfort and guidance, helping her navigate the situation. In the end, they made it through the night. Once she returned to her lodgings, Princess Xiangfu struggled to keep her composure, her knees threatening to give way as she almost tumbled to the floor. The shock she had experienced that evening had overturned her understanding of the world and shattered her previous upbringing. Upon seeing her ashen face, Qiao Xian didn't linger. She offered consoling words and took her leave. The moment Qiao Xian departed, Princess Xiangfu seemed to lose all her strength, collapsing onto the bed in tears. She sobbed uncontrollably. Auntie Si's heart ached. Her own worldview had been shattered, so she empathized with the prince's distress. She sent everyone else away, instructing Bai Yun and the others to stand guard outside and report any visitors promptly. She settled beside Princess Xiangfu and tenderly stroked her trembling shoulders, offering solace and support. After a while, Princess Xiangfu's tears gradually subsided. She sat up, her eyes swollen from crying, and choked out, "Aunt, from now on, we'll have to endure together in the future." Auntie Si's heart ached, but simultaneously, she felt a sense of gratification. She was relieved that Princess Xiangfu had not rejected her. "Princess, you will certainly be all right. We will undoubtedly be fine." Princess Xiangfu responded with a soft hum, and tears welled up in her eyes once more. Auntie Si managed a smile and commented, "I've noticed that Qingdi's capital is so lively and vast. It's different from what I had imagined." "It's much better." Princess Xiangfu gave a slight nod, feeling a touch of relief. If she could live here peacefully in the future, perhaps it wouldn't be so unbearable. The lively festivities in Qingdi continued for several days before coming to an end. In collaboration with Xiao Yunduan, the marriage envoy, the date for Princess Xiangfu's wedding to Prince Nua was set half a month later. Marital customs in Qingdi were relatively straightforward, and 10 days provided ample time for preparations. Xiao Yunduan found himself once again occupied with various tasks. Qiao Xian also became busy. Xiao Yunduan often sought the prince's input on many matters, and usually, it was Qiao Xian who relayed the messages. If the princess had any requests, Xiao Yunduan would communicate them to Qingdi after Qiao Xian passed them along. On the day of Princess Xiangfu's wedding, the weather was exceptionally fine. The sky was a brilliant, clear blue, with the bright sunlight casting a radiant glow like a colossal sapphire. The earth was lush and green, with wildflowers in full bloom, creating a picturesque scene. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1454. Date of return in Qingdi. Cattle and sheep were slaughtered, creating a vibrant and lively atmosphere. Later in the evening, another grand bonfire celebration was planned. Princess Xiangfu, now the bride, would be dressed in the splendid attire of a Qingdi concubine, standing alongside Prince Nua to receive the blessings of the guests and partake in the festivities. Princess Xiangfu had grown accustomed to this entirely distinct tradition, though it still felt somewhat foreign. Nevertheless, she managed to handle it with success. Qiao Xian instructed Bai Yun and the others to inform the Qingdi locals that Princess Xiangfu was shy. Understanding her intention, the Qingdi people responded with kind smiles and became more considerate toward the princess. After Princess Xianxia's wedding, the members of the Great Qin diplomatic mission couldn't stay any longer. With the initial excitement wearing off, they found themselves yearning for the lively atmosphere of the capital. The environment in Qingdi was somewhat unfamiliar, and the local cuisine, though acceptable, didn't compare to the delectable dishes served in the capital's restaurants. Xiao Yunduan made a request to Qingdi. Prince Nua was deeply reluctant and expressed his desire for Xiao Yunduan to stay in Qingdi. I wish Lord Xiao could stay in Qingdi. I want to continue learning from you. I can't understand what others are saying, and it makes me sleepy to listen to them. Only you can make me understand. Xiao Yunduan was at a loss for words. He thought to himself, I didn't discuss Great Qin culture with you, such as the 4 books and 5 classics. I only shared historical anecdotes and tales of famous figures. Of course you understand. If he couldn't grasp it, there must be something amiss with his intellect. Prince, all good things must come to an end. Additionally, I have other responsibilities that prevent me from staying away for too long. Please understand. If you ever have the opportunity in the future, I welcome you to visit Great Qin again. When that time comes, I will extend my hospitality to you. Prince Nua burst into laughter and patted Xiao Yunduan on the shoulder. All right. I'll definitely return when I have some free time. Just wait for me. I'll make sure to improve my alcohol tolerance. Then, I'll be able to challenge you properly. Humph. Xiao Yunduan smiled and replied, I eagerly await your instruction. Very well, just you wait. Prince Nua chuckled heartily. The date set for sending the diplomatic mission back to Great Qin was scheduled for 5 days later. This news filled everyone with joy, and the entire diplomatic mission exuded a happy and relaxed atmosphere. Prince Nua extended an invitation to Xiao Yunduan and the others to join him in a hunting expedition. Xiao Yunduan wasn't particularly interested in hunting, but Xiao Xian was excited about the prospect. I was thinking it would be great if we could hunt here. Hunting in this environment will be a unique experience. Xiao Yunduan agreed, you're right. Let's give it a try then. On the appointed day, Prince Nua, accompanied by Princess Xianxia and others, led a large group of riders on a grand hunting expedition. Auntie C, Biyun, and the others were unfamiliar with horseback riding and opted not to join Princess Xianxia's group. Instead, 2 robust women with sturdy builds served as attendants to the princess. It was evident that they possessed considerable strength. Princess Xianxia had only recently learned to ride a horse, and she still felt somewhat awkward in the saddle. She was delighted to see Qiao Xian and, as they rode side by side, they engaged in conversation. However, their slower pace couldn't go unnoticed. Prince Nua frequently glanced back, displaying a hint of concern. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1455, Slow down after their marriage. Prince Nua treated Princess Xianxia with exceptional care and consideration. However, it was quite a challenge for a bold and rugged prince of Qingdi to adapt to such refined behavior. Seeing this, Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan and suggested, Husband, why don't you two go ahead? I will take my time with the princess and engage in a pleasant conversation. Princess Xianxia eagerly added, Yes, please proceed without us. She was still getting used to riding a horse gracefully, and sitting for an extended period left her back and legs stiff and uncomfortable. Catching up with Prince Nua and the others seemed like an insurmountable task, even if her life depended on it. Furthermore, the diplomatic group would be departing in a few days, separating her from Qiao Xian, making this precious opportunity to be together all the more valuable. Prince Nua had been eager for some action, so upon hearing this, he readily agreed, Very well, take your time. Lord Xiao, let's embark on a wolf hunting expedition. With any luck, we might even come across a herd of wild horses. The prospect of encountering the elusive wild horses was met with enthusiastic cheers from Qingdi and his companions. These horses were the most enigmatic inhabitants of the grasslands, known for their elusive nature and speed. Taming them and making them mounts was a feat that would earn them the admiration of all. The wild horses possessed an incredible sense of pride and spirit. They would rather face death than submit if they felt unwilling to be tamed. Some even attempted to capture a wild horse, only to witness it defiantly resist and starve itself to death. Xiao Yunduan wasn't particularly interested in hunting wolves or wild horses. He would have preferred to stay and converse with his wife. Unfortunately, the circumstances didn't allow for it. With no other option, Xiao Yunduan responded graciously. He glanced at Xiao Xian and smiled warmly, saying, "Enjoy your time with the princess. Well, go ahead." Xiao Xian reciprocated the smile, and the two parties went their separate ways. Prince Nua spurred everyone to hasten their departure, his horse at the forefront, whip held high in anticipation. As the group rode off with their whips raised, Princess Xuangfu observed the scene with a soft sigh. Walking alongside her, Xiao Xian shared a light-hearted chuckle. The prince is refreshingly candid. His straightforwardness is quite reassuring. Princess Xuangfu's demeanor relaxed, and a faint smile graced her delicate features. She gently nodded and responded, "You're absolutely right." Deep down, who hadn't harbored secret fantasies about their future spouse? Who didn't hope for a partner who was handsome, youthful, promising, cultured, and considerate? When reality diverged from these ideal expectations, it could lead to disappointment and regret. Xiao Xian's words brought her a sense of relief. While he might not be meticulous or overly considerate, there was a certain charm in Prince Nua's straightforward nature. At the very least, there were no hidden motives or complex emotions to decipher. Having distanced themselves from the main group, the two of them strolled leisurely, engaging in conversations about family matters and avoiding any discussion of their impending separation. Occasionally, Xiao Xian would express that he was feeling fatigued and desired a brief respite, or he would suggest that the scenery was worth savoring. Princess Xuangfu appreciated his consideration, understanding that horseback riding wasn't a task suited for women. She couldn't fathom why the Qingdi people held such an affinity for horses, even proudly proclaiming that their children could ride horses by the age of 3. What was there to boast about in such a skill? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1456, Leisureness. The discomfort and pain were almost unbearable. But unlike Bai Yun and the others, who could find excuses to avoid such hardships, she had no such luxury. She needed to embrace all of it with a cheerful disposition, as it was the only way to endear herself to the Qingdi people and ensure a more comfortable future. No matter how excruciating it became, she had to grit her teeth and persevere. As the emissary's wife, Xiao Xian held a special place of importance, with Prince Nua's high regard and the king's benevolence. Hence, her treatment under Madame Xiao was undoubtedly favorable. When she claimed to be fatigued and requested a break, both Qingdi and the servants, as well as the guards, had to comply. Even though everyone shared a laugh about how delicate the emissary's wife appeared, necessitating rest for a journey so brief, it seemed she fared worse than a Qingdi 3-year-old child. Thankfully, the Princess of Qin did not exhibit such tendencies. Throughout the journey, they alternated between walking and pausing, traversing a seemingly boundless emerald grassland that stretched as far as the eye could see. Occasionally, they passed vibrant expanses of wildflowers that bloomed extravagantly. Occasionally, eagles soared through the expansive blue sky, and now and then, they observed foxes, marmots, wild cats, grassland rats, wild rabbits, and other creatures darting amidst the grass. Low-flying birds added to the picturesque spectacle, creating a delightful tapestry of life on the lively grassland. Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel that rushing through such breathtaking landscapes was a missed opportunity. They should have taken the time to savor the scenery. Her only regret was the absence of her husband by her side, though she looked forward to their extended time together on the return journey. During their travels, they encountered a stunning lake. The azure waters of the lake were so captivating that it left them in awe. The lake's reeds swayed gracefully, and the melodic calls of waterbirds filled the air. The scene was perfectly picturesque, resembling a painting come to life. Xiao Xian and her companions, who had never witnessed such natural beauty, were left utterly mesmerized. The sun had climbed high in the sky, and noon was fast approaching. Qiao Xian and Princess Shuangfu decided that it would be a good idea to break for lunch and then continue their journey. Naturally, Princess Shuangfu readily agreed with a warm smile. As Qiao Xian gave the lunch order, the Qingdi group exchanged bewildered glances. What kind of delicate constitution was this? She seemed so pampered. She had rested 4 times already along the way, and now she was stopping for lunch before reaching their destination. Though they couldn't voice their concerns, they reluctantly concurred. However, Qiao Xian paid no heed to their reactions. She and Princess Shuangfu were savoring the lakeside scenery, indulging in conversation and laughter. The lake teemed with fish that seemed unafraid of humans. They swam in large, unhurried groups, tempting anyone to take a dip and catch them. Given that Qingdi didn't consume fish, Qiao Xian was content to watch from the bank. Her entourage swiftly got to work, digging holes, starting fires, and heating water with practiced efficiency. Some of the guards ventured out for a hunt, returning shortly with a few rabbits, marmots, and other small game, as well as some wild onions and leeks. Before long, the aroma of roasted meat filled the air. It was undeniable that they were skilled in these tasks, and the roasted meat was especially succulent and fragrant. Qiao Xian, utilizing her wood element abilities, identified an abundance of herbs in the vicinity, including ephedrine, windproof, sand ginseng, and licorice. It left her feeling intrigued. After enjoying the roasted meat, she expressed her desire to take a horse ride and explore the area. Without taking anyone with her, she cheerfully set off. Having left the capital, it was a rare opportunity to venture alone, as she was typically part of the main group. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1457, Wild Horse. Furthermore, it would violate the rules and lead to gossip if people discovered her actions. Ruining Xiao Yunduan's official reputation was not a risk she was willing to take. Hence, Qiao Xian refrained from venturing outside to acquire items. Even during their stay in Huning City, she only ventured out once with Princess Shuangfu, always shadowed by attendants, which made it impossible to gather or deposit items into her space. It was only upon their arrival at Qingdi's capital that the atmosphere relaxed. During their downtime, they went shopping with Xiao Yunduan and Lixia. They procured some valuable items and introduced them to the space. They even brought back some unique local fruit trees, distinct from Great Qin's apples and pears, such as peach branches, which they cultivated within the space. With her current free time, Qiao Xian rode directly to their destination. There, she collected and transferred her favorite herbs into the space. She wished she could find some mushrooms, as they typically appeared on the grassland after rain, but none were in sight at the moment. When she deemed it time to return, she mounted her horse and rode back. Soon after, the group continued its journey, taking breaks along the way. After about 2 hours, they finally rejoined the main group. Over at the main group, activity buzzed with excitement as everyone busily handled their catch. Tents were already erected in a suitable location, signaling that they'd be spending the night here. 3 days ago, Prince Nua Nua dispatched a team to set up traps to lure the wolves, and today's results were bountiful. They had managed to eliminate over 30 grassland wolves, in addition to capturing otters, hares, pheasants, and more. The night's feast promised the freshest game. What caught everyone's attention was the discovery of wild horse tracks. The group dispersed to encircle the herd slowly. At a signal, they galloped towards their chosen wild horses, throwing their lassos in a bid to capture them. The subsequent effort to tame these magnificent creatures was a display of intense enthusiasm and excitement that captured the imagination. In the end, after a spirited struggle, all the wild horses managed to break free and escape, leaving none successfully tamed. While the Qingdi people might have felt some disappointment, they didn't harbor significant regret. They understood that this outcome was entirely within the realm of expectations. After all, if wild horses were easily tamed, they wouldn't retain their status as wild horses. What no one noticed was that when the dust had settled and the wild horses had made their gallant departure, there was one person conspicuously absent from the entire hunting team. Later, Ai returned, riding atop a majestic wild horse with gleaming black fur, resembling black satin. This sight left everyone in awe. The people from the Qin dynasty couldn't hide their pride and were beaming with satisfaction as they basked in the admiration and envy of the Qingdi people. From a distance, Prince Nua and his companions gazed longingly at the magnificent black wild horse, which exuded an extraordinary presence with its agile form. They couldn't help but envy Ai's accomplishment. Despite its recent taming, the horse retained its proud disposition. Other than Ai, it paid no heed to anyone else. The Qingdi people were well aware of the wild horse's temperament and maintained a respectful distance. Additionally, no one contemplated asking Ai to buy or trade the horse. They understood that even if Ai were to agree, it wouldn't matter unless the horse itself consented. Taming a wild horse established an unbreakable bond of master and steed that transcended human willpower. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1458. Happy. Perhaps it was because their master had a close connection with someone they favored, allowing them to feel comfortable and receptive to that person's presence. Xianxia was pleasantly surprised by this turn of events. Throughout their journey, apart from trailing behind Sun Bai, Ai had been at Xianxia's side, dutifully attending to his needs. His honest nature, minimal words, and earnest approach to tasks made him a dependable and reassuring presence. On one occasion, Qiao Xian had playfully teased Xianxia, suggesting that Xiao Wei had become so shameless that she had tried to get close to Ai when she discovered that he was brought back due to Mianmian's influence. Xiao Wei was supposedly attempting to win him over with her beauty. However, in truth, she hadn't made any efforts to use her charms to sway Ai's favor. In Xiao Xian's view, her willingness to express mild concern for Ai, engage in pleasant conversation, offer him occasional treats, or reward him with a few taels of silver was already a substantial gesture. Ai should have felt flattered and indebted to her. Yet, Ai remained completely indifferent to Qiao Wei. He didn't spare her a glance, let alone engage in conversation. Qiao Wei, who had humbled herself, was left seething with frustration. Upon hearing the news, Qiao Xian couldn't contain her glee. Qiao Wei's audacity seemed to be growing with each passing day. How could she be so self-assured? This further solidified Xianxia's belief that Ai was a worthy candidate for training. Not to mention the glowing praise from Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the group of guards, who were astounded by Ai's innate divine power. Thanks to Sun Bai's tutelage, Ai had gained more control over his celestial abilities and developed increased agility. Ai was both astonished and deeply appreciative of Sun Bai's mentorship. Although Sun Bai hadn't formally taken him on as a disciple, Ai regarded Sun Bai as his master. He understood that his present circumstances were a result of the fortuitous connection with Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao. Their kindness had saved both him and Mianmian, and his unwavering loyalty to them stemmed from the depths of his heart. As a result, whenever Xianxia assigned him a task, Ai approached it with unwavering dedication and meticulous attention to detail. Xianxia's satisfaction with Ai continued to grow, and he couldn't help but marvel at his wife's excellent judgment. With a mere thought, she had brought two exceptional subordinates into their fold. No wonder Qiao Wei was consumed with envy and anger. As Ai found himself thrust into the spotlight, Xianxia reveled in the joy of his accomplishment. Ai had never been the recipient of such passionate attention and adulation, which left him feeling awkward and unsure of how to respond. Ai approached Xianxia with the black horse and said, "Lord, I'd like to offer this horse to you. Could you please give it a name?" Xianxia cast a fond gaze at the majestic black horse and chuckled. "You tamed it, so take good care of it. As for naming it, well, leave that to my wife. She always takes a keen interest in such matters." Ai blushed and nodded, a shy smile on his face. When Xiao Xian, Princess Shuangfu, and the others finally arrived, the atmosphere had calmed down. Upon hearing Xianxia's praise for Ai, Qiao Xian glanced at Mianmian, who wore a bright smile. She remarked with a grin, Ai possesses natural strength and has experience in the horse market, making him a fitting candidate for success. It's no surprise that he's been so fortunate. I've always known he's no ordinary individual. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1459, Naming. When Xiao Yunduan broached the topic of naming the black horse, Qiao Xian's interest was piqued. She playfully tugged on Xiao Yunduan's sleeve and chuckled, "Well then, what are we waiting for, dear? Take me to see it. Mian, let's go." Mian had riding skills, which had brought her along for the day's excursion. She outshone Wuxia and Qiao, who were now petrified on their horses, overwhelmed with fear. Mian blushed with delight, nodded, and followed Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. Ah yes, affection and care for the big black horse were evident. The untamed and proud steed didn't readily approach humans, and at the moment, Ai was accompanying it behind a small hillock in the distance. He meticulously stroked and groomed its black, satin-like mane, and the big black horse seemed utterly content, elegantly enjoying the attention and occasionally responding with soft snorts. Qiao Xian's eyes lit up upon seeing the majestic horse. She expressed her admiration. "What a stunning creature, this big black horse. Ai, you've done a marvelous job." Mian, upon hearing this, beamed with even more joy than if she were the one receiving praise. The two exchanged glances, leaving Ai too embarrassed to smile. He explained, "Madam, Lord mentioned that he'd like you to give the big black horse a name." Qiao Xian was elated. She exchanged glances with Xiao Yunduan and said with a smile, "Certainly, you'll need to ponder it thoughtfully. A magnificent horse like this deserves a name that's anything but ordinary." Mian chimed in, "Madam's choice will undoubtedly be splendid." Qiao Xian drew closer to the big black horse, enchanted by its mane that resembled black satin. She couldn't resist running her hand over it. Xiao Yunduan and Ai were taken aback, almost reaching out to stop her. However, Qiao Xian's hand had already made contact. The big black horse glanced at her briefly, calmly swished its tail, and continued to graze, showing no signs of anger or resistance. Xiao Yunduan and Ai were equally astounded. This big black horse had a haughty disposition. It had recently acknowledged its master, and aside from Ai, it had shown no interest in anyone else. Even Prince Nua had nearly been kicked when he attempted to touch it. Xiao Yunduan hesitated to approach, fearing he might meet the same fate as others. However, to his astonishment, as soon as his wife stepped forward, she began to caress the horse. Qiao Xian was unaware of what had transpired, but the horse felt so delightful to the touch that she couldn't resist running her hand over its coat. Qiao Xian grinned, "How obedient and endearing it is." Xiao Yunduan was at a loss for words, while Ai was equally surprised. As Qingdis horses served as their sole mode of transportation, Qiao Xian habitually carried pine nuts in her purse. A few remained, and with her mounting delight, she took them out and offered them to the horse. The big black horse sniffed her palm and began eating without hesitation. It even swished its tail in delight and nuzzled its head against Qiao Xian, eliciting her laughter. She waved to Xiao Yunduan, calling, "Husband, come over." Why was he standing so far away? Wasn't the big black horse handsome and attractive? Qiao Xian wondered. Xiao Yunduan smiled and nodded as he drew closer. When the big black horse suddenly looked up at him, he paused in his steps. Yet, as the horse continued to eat pine nuts without paying him any mind, he silently breathed a sigh of relief and cautiously joined them. He didn't dare to reach out and touch the horse, instead standing by and observing. It was already a remarkable achievement for them to be in such close proximity. They were faring much better than Prince Nua. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1460, Close. Qiao Xian suggested with a smile, "How about we call it Thunder God? It sounds imposing and mighty." Ai enthusiastically agreed, saying, "Good, good." Hello, Thunder God. Thank you, madam, for the name. From now on, it shall be known as Thunder God. Ai gently patted the big black horse's head and spoke with a grin, Thunder God, Thunder God. From this day forth, your name shall be Thunder God. Do you understand? Their shared laughter filled the air. Looking at Xianxia with admiration, Ai commented, Madam, you're truly incredible. You've managed to approach Thunder God so effortlessly. In Ai's eyes, taming Thunder God had been an arduous endeavor that involved many falls and considerable effort. Upon hearing this, Xianxia inquired with a smile, what's so challenging about it? Ai widened his eyes and nodded emphatically. Xianxia joined in with a smile, recounting Thunder God's haughty nature, which amused both Xianxia and Mianmian. Xianxia gently caressed Thunder God's body, sharing an intimate smile as she remarked, it signifies that Thunder God can discern people and his own kind. His spirit is truly remarkable. Come, Mianmian, come and greet Thunder God as well. Ai happily waved at Mianmian and signaled her to join them with a bright smile. Mianmian blushed and shot him a glare. Xianxia pondered that Thunder God's lack of resistance to her approach might be attributed to her superpower. It wasn't inconceivable for Thunder God to feel a connection to individuals with wood element superpowers. She had an inkling that animals were often more sensitive than humans, which was the most plausible explanation. Xianxia couldn't help but wonder why Thunder God, who typically ignored everyone, hadn't resisted her. As for Xianxia and Mianmian, it was likely due to Thunder God's relationship with Ai. Thunder God was a highly intelligent horse, and since there were no outsiders present, it felt relaxed and open to negotiation. That evening, everyone camped for the night. They roasted meat and enjoyed wine, creating a lively atmosphere. The grassland was cold at night, so even though she sat by the fire, Xianxia wrapped herself in a thin cotton cloak. The night sky was adorned with beautiful stars, resembling a sky filled with sparkling gems. It was so dazzling that it felt like stepping into a wondrous fairyland of stars. Xianxia managed the group and exchanged a glance with Xianxia. He then led her away from the hubbub to a quiet place for a stroll. Xianxia had a slight fear of Prince Nua. Prince Nua was an incredible drinker, and Xianxia knew that if he didn't avoid the situation, he'd likely end up being coerced into another drinking contest. Additionally, in the company of his wife, amid the enchanting starlit night, it was far more appealing to be with her. The following morning, the group enjoyed a hearty breakfast and headed back to the capital. They took their time and didn't split up, as Xianxia needed to rest. She paused for breaks 3 times on the return journey, and they didn't reach the capital until late afternoon. That evening, Princess Xianghu and Prince Nua extended an invitation to Xianxia and Xianxia for dinner. The diplomatic mission would depart for Great Qin the day after next. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1461. When to make a move. Xiao Wei held the same status as Xianxia as she accompanied the princess on her wedding journey. They had gone hunting the previous day, but because she couldn't ride a horse and didn't want to be near Xianxia, she decided not to follow them. Upon their return from the hunt, the princess and the prince hosted a banquet. Traditionally, Xiao Wei should have been included, but Princess Xianghu simply wanted a pleasant meal with Xianxia and didn't want Xiao Wei to be a nuisance. Prince Nua instructed Auntie C to bring 2 dishes as a reward for Xiao Wei. He claimed to understand that she wasn't feeling well and hadn't summoned her. He suggested that she eat well, rest properly, and prepare for the journey on the day after next. Xiao Wei was seething with anger once again. How could she not be feeling well? Such a thing never happened. Xianxia must have said something malicious in front of Princess Xianghu to prevent her from participating. Princess Xianghu had made her intentions very clear by arranging for the food. It was evident that she didn't want Xiao Wei to join the banquet. Xiao Wei couldn't bear it. If Qiao hadn't intervened and stopped her, Xiao Wei would have smashed the 2 dishes. When do we make our move on the way back? Oh. Qiao quickly covered Xiao Wei's mouth, her gaze cold. "Miss, you can't speak recklessly." Qiao Wei felt suffocated for a moment. She pushed away Qiao-he's hand and sneered. "What are you afraid of? Do you think someone will overhear us? We're in such a secluded spot, and no one will come near." She and Xiao Xian were constantly at odds, each vying for supremacy. Wherever Xiao Xian was, she couldn't measure up. It was a clash between the east wind and the west wind, with only one prevailing. Qiao Wei was determined to see Xiao Xian trampled underfoot, just as she had been in the past. Qiao, he continued to wear a worried expression. Being cautious is not a bad thing. If something goes wrong because of this, it would be disastrous. Qiao Wei sneered but refrained from further comments. At Princess Xianxia's gathering, the four of them enjoyed a cheerful and harmonious atmosphere. It was a perfect setting. While eating, Prince Nua's eyes gleamed with the desire to share a drink with Xiao Yunduan. However, Xiao Yunduan was the first to speak. He cleared his throat and spoke solemnly. "I want drink with you today, or I'll be too hungover to travel." "Please forgive me, Your Highness." Princess Xuanfu chimed in with a gentle smile. "Yes, Your Highness, it wouldn't be appropriate. Let's save it for another time." Seeing Xiao Yunduan's resolute stance, Prince Nua reluctantly agreed. "Very well, Lord Xiao. Next time I visit the capital, we shall drink together. I'll be looking forward to it." He puffed out his chest and declared, "Lord Xiao, just wait. I'll best you next time." Xiao Yunduan could only respond with a wry smile. "I'll be waiting." "Humph. I'll make sure to improve your alcohol tolerance." It's embarrassing to be bested by a scholar. Everyone was left speechless. What was there to compare? The Qingdi people certainly had peculiar priorities. Princess Xuanfu, being a newcomer to Qingdi, felt embarrassed for her husband. She gracefully changed the subject with a smile, initiating a discussion about Qingdi's customs. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were both genuinely interested in this topic and posed questions to Prince Nua. The discussion on customs took their attention, and the drinking challenge was forgotten. They spent the evening together until it was quite late. Xiao Xian and Princess Xuanfu engaged in a lengthy conversation. Finally, they exchanged farewells before Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan returned to their own quarters. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1462. Return. Xiao Xian felt a sense of melancholy wash over her. Xiao Yunduan tenderly embraced her and gently patted her back to offer comfort. Princess Xuanfu is already doing quite well. Perhaps leaving the palace is a blessing in disguise for someone as unloved as her. Xiao Xian began to feel a glimmer of relief and managed to force a smile. You might be right. Prince Nua seems to treat her well, but she's come to a distant land for marriage. We can't be certain when we'll meet again, so she will undoubtedly feel a bit sad. Xiao Yunduan replied, perhaps only for a while. Xiao Xian burst into laughter, a warmth spreading through her heart. The following day, as everyone prepared for their departure, Xiao Xian, Qiao Wei, and the others went to bid farewell to Princess Xuanfu. Since they had already conveyed their goodbyes the previous day, they didn't avoid Xiao Wei today. Yet, Xiao Wei couldn't hide her dissatisfaction. Despite the knowledge that she and Xiao Xian were not on good terms and that Xiao Xian was the favored wife of Lord Xiao, the crown prince's favorite, while she was just the daughter of the county magistrate, she still couldn't help feeling envious. If she had to choose between the two, Princess Xuanfu would undoubtedly favor Xiao Xian. This feeling of being powerless and easily bullied weighed heavily on her. Xiao Wei's irritation was palpable, and she cast hostile glances at Xiao Xian from time to time. Xiao Xian, however, wasn't in the mood to engage with her. Qiao Wei, feeling ignored, grew even more infuriated. Princess Xuanfu, unable to bear the tension, decided to escort her away. Qiao Wei nearly lost her temper, but she didn't dare to, yet, Xiao Xian had her share of blame in this situation, and she longed to return home to make Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan taste the bitterness of her wrath. That night, Qingdi organized a grand bonfire party to bid them farewell. Knowing they had an early departure the next morning, Xiao Yunduan kept the festivities subdued. The following morning, Prince Nua led his men in escorting everyone out of the capital. Princess Xuanfu did not make another appearance. After bidding their farewells just outside the city, the group officially embarked on their journey. Xiao Xian gazed up at the clear blue sky, the wind and sun on her face. She sighed and silently bestowed her blessings upon Princess Xuanfu. The path homeward held a promise of joy. As they began their journey, the initial sadness of parting dissipated, and excitement filled their hearts. It's finally time to head home. That's right. I've missed home so much. I've even dreamt about Beijing a few times. Me too. We can pick up the pace on the way back and aim to reach home as quickly as possible. Yes. The group was in high spirits, covering nearly 200 miles before setting up camp for the night. During the evening, Xiao Yunduan gathered Sun Bai, Sun Xian, Ai, Mianmian, and Li Xia alongside Xiao Xian. He spoke with a serious tone, with Princess and Prince Nua no longer with us, I have my suspicions. I believe there may be some ill-intentioned individuals within our group. Besides all of you, I'm not certain whom I can trust. In such an environment, any mischief could lead to catastrophe. Please remain vigilant and attentive. If you notice anything amiss, report it immediately. There can be no delays. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1463, Discussion. Ai and Mianmian displayed evident surprise. Sun Bai and Sun Xian grasped the implications behind Xiao Yunduan's words and shared an unspoken understanding. The fourth prince and the Tian family held deep animosity towards Lord Xiao, particularly the fourth prince, who harbored a vehement hatred for Lord Xiao. The Tian family also bore a profound grudge against Madame Xiao. While it wasn't a propitious time to settle scores with Lord Xiao in the intermediary capital, this moment presented a unique opportunity. Any mishap involving Lord Xiao would be something they couldn't easily explain or justify. Moreover, Sun Bai and Sun Xian were fiercely loyal to the crown prince. They recognized that any harm befalling Lord Xiao would be akin to severing one of the crown prince's limbs, which was simply unacceptable. Furthermore, they had accompanied Xiao Yunduan on numerous occasions, deepening their respect and admiration for him. Their camaraderie and trust were substantial, and they were loath to witness any harm come to him. Rest assured, Your Excellency. I'll exercise utmost caution. The individuals I brought from the East Palace are all reliable. I'll instruct them to maintain diligent patrols and shift rotations during the night. I'll make certain not to overlook anything. Xiao Yunduan nodded. However, don't divulge all the details to them. Understood. Xiao Yunduan turned his attention to Ai. Ai, you shall be in the service of Madame from now on. Take good care of her. Xiao Xian interjected, let us stay with you. As long as you are safe, I won't face any danger. Xiao Yunduan chuckled. I'm concerned. Sun Xian added, Madam, I will accompany you. You needn't worry. Ai possesses extraordinary strength and has mastered his skills well. With him guarding you, you can rest assured. Xiao Xian contemplated for a moment. She had Li Xia, Li Qiao, and Mianmian with her, which would allow her to look after them. As for herself, there was genuinely no reason for concern. In the unlikely event that something did occur, she would rather have no one by her side. Walking through this vast grassland, they were like pre-prepared ropes. If one needed to tie up a dumpling, a group could tie up a bunch of dumplings. There was no pressure at all. After their discussion, the group dispersed. Turning to Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Xian reassured him, don't worry, dear husband. Well, have a safe journey. I've consulted with a fortune teller, and the master assured us that we are both blessed individuals. This journey won't bring us harm. Xiao Yunduan burst into laughter and refrained from arguing with her, simply nodding. My wife is absolutely correct. You can rest easy. As long as I'm with you, I'll protect you. He squinted as if he were about to say something else, but then he decided against it. However, he later sought out Yi in private and instructed him earnestly, if a genuine threat arises, remember not to hesitate. Take Madame and Mian and escape using the Thunder God. Run as far as you can. Then find a way back to Huning City, understand? Yi hesitated briefly. But, sir, just follow my orders. Don't concern yourself with anything else. Understood, officer. Xiao Yunduan may not have cared much for Mian, but he understood that Yi wouldn't leave her behind, so he instructed him to take her along. When it came down to a critical moment, they couldn't afford to worry about anything else. Luck would be their greatest ally. On a separate note, Qiao Xian also approached Yi privately. In case of any emergency, take Mian to Lord Xiao and use the Thunder God to escape. You can inquire and find your way back to Huning City. With the Thunder God, you won't have to fear anyone catching up with you. Yi was dumbfounded and did not come back to his senses for a long time. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1464, Dilemma. Qiao Xian smiled. I'm just a woman. What's the worst that can happen if I find myself in danger or in someone's custody? As long as Lord Xiao is by my side, nobody would dare harm me. But if anything were to happen to him, that would be the real problem. More importantly, she held great confidence in her own abilities. Whoever dared to capture her would find themselves regretting their choice. Her primary focus was on safeguarding Wuxia and Qiao. That was the most she could do. Xiao Yunduan found her reasoning sound and hesitated for a moment, scratching his head. Well, all right, madam, Yi pondered the situation and was unsure how to proceed. Therefore, he sought Mian's advice. Upon hearing his dilemma, Mian couldn't help but sigh, saying enviously, the bond between Lord and Madam is truly exceptional. Yi was perplexed. He had come to her for guidance, so why was she making these remarks out of the blue? So, what should I do then? Yi scratched his head. Mian glanced at the Thunder God, torn. Why don't you take Madam and Lord with you? There was no doubt about the speed and allure of the Thunder God. No one questioned its ability to make a swift getaway. If the Thunder God couldn't escape, there was no need to contemplate whether it could escape or not. Yi wore a bitter smile. I wish to do that too, but am concerned that the Thunder God can't accommodate 4 people. Oh, I mean the 3 of you can depart, and I'll stay. I need to assist Lord Sun and the others. Mian retorted, what are you talking about? The Thunder God listens to you more than anyone else. If you don't leave, can the Thunder God leave? Take Madam and Lord with you, and I'll figure out a hiding place for myself. No way. Why not? At most, you can return and find me later. I'm just a young girl. Who would even notice me? No. I care. Mian blushed and glared at him, feeling a bit shy. Regardless, I don't want to hear any excuses. Nothing can happen to Lord and Madam. If you're nearby and care about me, then listen to what I say. No. No one will pay attention to me. No one will care if I hide. I won't be in any danger. Do you think I'm so foolish that I can't even hide? No, but, it's a deal. No buts. Yi couldn't persuade her, and his words couldn't match her eloquence. He felt unconvinced and a bit unhappy, but he couldn't say much in response. He could only sulkily relent. Mian assured him that she could hide, but could she truly remain concealed? Yi knew that Mian was a clever and resourceful girl, but she was still a young lady, and what if she were discovered and harmed amid the ensuing chaos? Then what would he do? In this world, Mian was his sole friend, and deep in his heart, he had long considered her family, a bond of mutual reliance. He couldn't bear to contemplate what he would do if he lost Mian. Ah yes, mood sank, and he struggled with inner conflict, which became evident in his demeanor. He appeared somewhat downcast and preoccupied. Xiao Yunduan soon discerned Ah Ye's troubled state and inquired about it. Though Ah Ye initially intended to keep it a secret, he couldn't withstand Xiao Yunduan's gentle prodding and eventually divulged his concerns with only a few sentences. Xiao Yunduan chuckled. He sighed inwardly, experiencing a mix of emotions, both a sense of fondness and a hint of bittersweetness. His wife was truly something. How could she respond to Ah Ye like that? As her husband, he should be the one protecting her, not the other way around. I'll speak with Madam and handle it. You don't need to worry. Just follow my directions. What? Don't fret. I have a plan of my own. Yes, Lord. Ah Ye decided that it was best not to dwell on it too much. After all, no matter how much he contemplated, he couldn't make sense of it. He might as well simply heed Xiao Yunduan's instructions. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1465, Deliberately Causing Trouble in the Blink of an Eye. More than 10 days had swiftly passed. Over the past 10 days, Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Xian, Sun Bai, and Sun Qian remained vigilant, yet they could not detect anything amiss. However, Xiao Yunduan's occasional reminders ensured that nobody let their guard down. Qiao Xian, in particular, frequently employed her extraordinary abilities to survey their surroundings. She did so before their morning departures, during the midday breaks, while setting up camp in the evening, in the dead of night, and during the early morning hours. Yet, her scrutiny revealed nothing out of the ordinary. The vegetation had thrived and teemed with vitality during this time. It was when her superpower was at its peak, pulsating with energy. The expansion of the farmland within her space, which had been stagnant during the winter, was now progressing rapidly. Their total land had increased to about 3,000 mues, and by winter, it was estimated to reach 4,000 mues. 4,000 mues of land provided an ample canvas for cultivation. With the reduced maturation period and significantly enhanced yields, the results were nothing short of astonishing. Qiao Xian harbored no doubt that Xiao Wei and Xiao He, who didn't resemble mere maids, had joined the wedding party with more than simple well-wishing intentions. Qiao Wei's deep-seated resentment toward her made it clear that vengeance was the driving force behind her presence. Each encounter with her stoked this enmity, making every moment unbearable. Recognizing her own fiery and impulsive nature, Qiao Xian intentionally sought out Xiao Wei and provoked her in an attempt to elicit a revealing response. Along the way, Qiao Xian persistently pursued Xiao Wei, who, in turn, evaded her advances. Though visibly irritated and contorted with frustration, Xiao Wei managed to restrain herself, resisting the urge to lash out in anger. Qiao Xian couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Around noon, Qiao Xian spotted Xiao Wei and Xiao He near a nearby stream, where they were washing their hands and refreshing their faces. With a smile on her face, Qiao Xian rounded the corner, accompanied by Lixia, Liqiao, and Mian. Gently pushing Xiao Wei, Qiao Xian took her by surprise. Startled, Xiao Wei let out a scream and lurched forward. Although Qiao He managed to pull her back in time, she still ended up stepping into the shallow water, soaking half of her intricately embroidered shoe. The corner of her skirt also got wet. Qiao Xian, what do you think you're doing? Qiao Wei's anger flared. Qiao Xian responded with a calm smile, my apologies, my hand slipped. Ha, you did that on purpose. No, Qiao Xian replied with a helpless smile, if I had done it intentionally, I wouldn't have used such little force to push you into the river. Why would I do that? You. Qiao Wei gritted her teeth, convinced that Qiao Xian was deliberately taunting her. But it was too embarrassing to voice her suspicion, so she kept silent. What's the matter with you? Qiao Xian gave her a disdainful look, as if she couldn't be bothered by Qiao Wei's inner turmoil. She taunted, you have a twisted mind, thinking everyone is as devious and suspicious as you are. Heh, this is your specialty. Qiao Wei's face darkened, and her breathing quickened. You're just a pretender, aren't you? Qiao Xian sneered. A two-faced hypocrite. Gritting her teeth, Qiao Wei warned, just you wait. You'll see. Miss, let me assist you in returning to change your shoes, he offered, firmly grasping Qiao Wei's arm. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1466. Can't take it anymore. Qiao Wei fixed a piercing glare on Qiao Xian and sneered, continue being arrogant. I'd like to see how long your arrogance lasts. You're quite familiar with those words, aren't you? Maybe you should reflect on them yourself. Miss, let's depart. He cast a reproachful glance at Xiao Xian before assisting Qiao Wei away. Xiao Xian blinked, her gaze lingering on He's retreating figure. Meanwhile, Wuxia, Qiao, and the others engaged in light-hearted banter. Xiao Xian smiled and remarked, I'll go wash my hands. Enjoy your rest. The three of them agreed and took their leave. Xiao Xian activated her powers to eavesdrop on the conversation between Qiao Wei and He. This woman is intentionally tormenting me. She's singling me out on purpose. I can't endure it any longer. Tell me, when are we going to strike? How have you been in contact with them? Miss, please be cautious, the walls have ears, shut up. I can't stand these baseless excuses any longer. Don't underestimate me. Let me remind you, if you provoke me further, don't blame me for breaking our association. Remember that you're nothing more than my servant now. Anger flashed across He's face, but she suppressed it. Having witnessed Xiao Xian's relentless bullying and humiliation of Qiao Wei in recent days, he couldn't help but sympathize with her. Madame Xiao had crossed the line, her scolding knew no bounds. She was cunning and hit her targets precisely. It was unbearable for anyone to endure. However, Qiao Wei was a sharp-tongued woman with a fiery temper. She had a knack for hurling harsh words and stomping her feet in frustration. If he hadn't offered comfort behind her back, she might have exploded. But even then, it was hard to watch. Seeing He's continued silence, Qiao Wei grew even more furious. She pounded the carriage seat and demanded, "Speak up already. What are you waiting for?" He felt irritated, but she understood that Qiao Wei wouldn't relent until she received some answers. She couldn't help but feel frustrated with Xiao Xian as well. But who could she blame? Given Xiao Wei's temperament, when Xiao Xian was still just a girl in the Qiao family, she was a lowly daughter of a concubine with no one to rely on. It would have been unusual if Qiao Wei hadn't mistreated her. Now that their positions had almost reversed, and revenge was in the air, what could she do? So, she decided to play it cool and nonchalantly, casually, and indifferently deceive her. After all, this dim-witted woman was clueless about what lay ahead. "If you insist, I'll tell you," he whispered. "But remember, you mustn't reveal this to anyone. No matter what Madame Xiao does, you must endure it. In 3 days, there will be individuals lying in wait within the Black Tiger Forest." Black Tiger Forest? What kind of place is that? Qiao Wei had no recollection of it. Reluctantly, he had to offer an explanation. "It's a forest that has grown for countless years, stretching hundreds of miles. We'll need to cross it when we return to Huning City, a total distance of around 30 miles. It's filled with ancient towering trees, creeping vines, and dim lighting, a perfect location for an ambush." 3 days from now, you say? Yes. Fine, then I'll endure that woman for 3 more days. Inform them that when the time comes, let that woman live. I've had a change of heart. I want her to wish she were dead. This was followed by a string of venomous curses. Xiao Xian withdrew her powers. Black Tiger Forest? In reality, her husband's Sun Xian, and the others had already discussed it. They were well aware that the Black Tiger Forest was a perilous spot for ambushes and had long prepared accordingly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1467. Why did you let her in? The reason for their preparedness was that the road they were traveling on was relatively flat and not conducive to ambushes. With a little extra vigilance, it would be nearly impossible for any potential assailants to succeed. Their diplomatic mission was substantial, consisting of a considerable number of individuals. Among the 300 participants, 200 were guards. The Crown Prince had meticulously selected 30 of them. These individuals discreetly concealed their true roles within the group, but their sole purpose was to protect Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Given the vulnerability of the Black Tiger Forest as an ambush site, they had long planned to be on high alert. If the 30 expert guards couldn't safeguard Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian, they would need to call upon a military response. Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel regretful that she had missed this crucial information. It was evident that Xiao Wei was merely a pawn. Those conspiring against her and her husband clearly didn't take her seriously at all. She was completely ignorant, even more so than Qiao He. Qiao He, on the other hand, was no ordinary maid. She refused to disclose numerous details to Xiao Wei. However, they had placed someone like Qiao He in close proximity to Xiao Yunduan and herself, anticipating their suspicion. In essence, Qiao He was just a minor character. Even if they were to interrogate her, it would likely only serve to alert the enemy without yielding valuable information. Additionally, both Qiao He and Xiao Wei had officially entered the wedding escort team. Their names were officially documented. Without concrete evidence, it would be against protocol to apprehend them. Doing so could tarnish Xiao Yunduan's reputation as an overbearing and authoritarian figure when he returned to the capital. This was the primary reason why they hadn't taken any action against Xiao Wei. Although the news was better than nothing, Xiao Xian still decided to inform Xiao Yunduan about the situation in the Black Tiger Forest. Xiao Yunduan smiled reassuringly. Don't worry, Sun Bai and Sun Qian will handle everything. Xiao Xian wore a thoughtful smile and continued, Husband, do you think someone placed Xiao Wei in our team just to irritate me? There must be a motive, right? But what could someone like Xiao Wei possibly do for others? I can't fathom any purpose for her presence. Xiao Wei didn't possess even a fraction of the knowledge that Qiao He did, yet the latter was appointed as her maid. From the bits of information Shed overheard, Xiao Wei hadn't taken any actions or even relayed information to anyone. So, what role could she possibly play in this team? Why had she been included? Xiao Yunduan also began to mull over the matter. What you're saying does raise questions. Upon closer consideration, it did indeed seem peculiar. The fourth prince and the Tian family wouldn't have introduced someone into their ranks just to incite disgust. Qiao Wei was nowhere near Xiao Xian's league, so she lacked the qualifications to be a source of irritation. They won't be useless. Xiao Wei must serve a purpose within this team. The two of them engaged in a thorough discussion but couldn't arrive at any definitive conclusions. They exchanged knowing smiles before Xiao Yunduan spoke again. Let it go, he suggested. Take your time to think it through. I have personnel monitoring them. Whatever their intentions, they will be exposed eventually. Let's rest for now. Unable to devise a better plan, Xiao Xian nodded and relinquished her thoughts. She embraced Xiao Yunduan and drifted off to sleep. In the distance, a dense forest emerged. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1468. Going through the Black Tiger Forest. The verdant trees sprouted from the earth and merged into an endless forest. After half a day of travel, when they were still 5 or 6 miles from the Black Tiger Forest, everyone gazed up and could already discern the dark forest looming ahead. In Xiao Xian's keen eyes, the view was crystal clear. The massive ancient tree stood incomparably tall and was as black as a mountain, exuding an intensely ominous aura. The ambient temperature appeared to have instinctively dropped by a few degrees. This was the Black Tiger Forest, the sole route back to the Great Qin Empire. To traverse it, one needed to cross dozens of kilometers. Although it was only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, no instructions were necessary. Everyone had already halted very deliberately. They had no intention of entering the forest today. They would camp on the outskirts for the night and depart early the next morning. There was no need to push through the Black Tiger Forest in a single stretch. In such an environment, with its complexity and limited visibility, and set within a wilderness that stretched for hundreds of miles, they couldn't predict what dangers might lie ahead. Leaving aside the marauding bandits and thieves on the grasslands, encountering a formidable group of wild beasts could be equally deadly. That night, Qiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, Sun Bai, and Sun Qian had a restless night. This was an ideal place for an ambush. If the fourth prince and his associates had indeed dispatched operatives, they wouldn't have overlooked this prime opportunity. The next day, the group arose at the crack of dawn. They swiftly prepared a simple meal and packed their tents. These were deftly loaded onto the carriages, and they set out before the sun's ascent. Sun Bai and Sun Qian dispatched 5 scouts to reconnoiter the path. Leading the way was a squad of 50 guards. Over 100 individuals divided into groups to bring up the rear, while the rest of the guards followed the rest of the party. No matter what happens, do not disembark from the wagons unless Ai is present. Remember my words. Xiao Yunduan grasped Xiao Xian's hands and reiterated his warning before they departed. Xiao Xian smiled and nodded obediently. As for whether she would follow his instructions, that would depend on the circumstances. This part of the forest proved exceedingly challenging to traverse, as it saw very few visitors on ordinary days. Even the caravans traveling between Great Qin and Qingdi made only 1 or 2 trips during the period from mid-spring to late summer. Consequently, the rampant vegetation and creeping vines had grown at an accelerated pace. Given the absence of passers-by for an extended period, the path that had been somewhat discernible was now engulfed by the overgrowth. They had numerous carriages in their convoy, and aside from Qiao Xian and her companions, most of them carried an assortment of supplies. Moreover, their journey to Qingdi wasn't a simple one. They needed to bring along some local specialties, particularly precious herbs, gemstones, jades, furs, felt carpets, and more. Some of these items had been purchased, while others were gifts from Qingdi to the emperor and tokens for Xiao Yunduan. This explained the presence of 60 carriages in the group. Xiao Yunduan had issued strict instructions, specifying that each person was only allowed to purchase a limited number of items. Otherwise, it was conceivable that the number of carriages would double. After all, the various gemstones like rubies, sapphires, tourmaline, malachite, jade, turquoise, cat's eye jewelry, lapis lazuli, and others were exceptionally affordable in Qingdi. The leather goods were even more reasonably priced. Once these items were transported back to the capital, their value would increase by at least 5 to 10 times. Even Xiao Xian had acquired a considerable number of gemstones, discreetly storing them in her spatial pocket. She had even procured several high-quality diamonds. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1469, Superpower Observation. Not everyone had an easy journey to reach this place, so Xiao Yunduan should not hinder people from making a modest living. However, despite the abundance of resources, the path ahead was far from easy. In many areas, they had to clear a path with machetes, slowing down their progress considerably. The silver lining was that most of the terrain was relatively flat. Even with occasional small elevations, carriages could pass through, albeit with some extra effort. Considering all these factors, this relatively short journey would take a full day to complete smoothly. Everyone was experienced and determined to exit the Black Tiger Forest before sunset. By noon, the group took a break to consume their meager rations and have a few sips of water. Everything continued to progress safely and without incident. Qiao Xian activated her superpower to scan the surroundings, and soon, she detected a group lying in ambush on a rocky slope about 6 or 7 miles away. Qiao Xian's heart skipped a beat. She estimated there were around 40 to 50 people dressed in dark green attire with their legs bound. They appeared fierce and well prepared. Although they seemed like mountain bandits, their discipline during the ambush was uncanny. No one made a sound, and their actions were controlled. These were not the typical unruly mountain bandits. Even if they were not directly affiliated with the fourth prince, they had some connection to him. Since she didn't pick up any immediate threats, Xianxia retracted her power. Using her superpower for information gathering was her most potent ability, but it drained her quickly. With a potential fight looming, she needed to conserve her energy for the right moment, so she couldn't afford to waste it. The team continued to make their way forward, maintaining a deliberately slow pace dictated by the challenging road conditions that hindered rapid progress. Gradually, they reached a rocky slope. The slope was strewn with rugged boulders, and its inclines on both sides were notably steeper than elsewhere. The team planned to traverse the middle path, which extended for about 4 to 5 kilometers. The same wild grass and vines covered the route, forcing them to clear it by removing grass, leaves, vines, and obstacles to ensure the carriages could pass through. As they approached the ambush site, approximately 300 meters away, Xianxia activated her unique ability. The tree roots at the top of the slope suddenly swelled, pushing out large rocks that broke free from the ground and tumbled down the slope. Simultaneously, she shook the branches and leaves violently, startling the birds resting on them, causing them to take flight in a cacophonous flurry of wings and cries. The sudden commotion naturally alarmed the intermediate team. Sun Bai promptly raised his hand, and the entire group came to an immediate halt. "Stay vigilant, everyone. Form up and shield Lord and Lady," he commanded. Their response was well practiced, having rehearsed many times for potential danger. Though the situation was tense, the guards swiftly established a protective formation from the outset. The remaining followers quickly regained their composure. Carriage drivers worked with a few others to safeguard the horses, gripping the reins securely and covering the animals' ears to prevent them from panicking and bolting. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1470, This Unlucky. The rest of the group swiftly huddled together, using the carriages as cover. The guards unsheathed their weapons, forming a disciplined defensive formation. The ambushers, dozens in number, cursed their ill luck. What kind of fortune was this? A successful ambush should have capitalized on catching their prey unawares. But now, due to this series of movements and commotions, even if the other party hadn't detected them, they must be on high alert, rendering the element of surprise obsolete. Attack! One can only imagine the shock and frustration coursing through the leader's veins. With a resounding battle cry, he brandished his gleaming machete and led the charge. The others, similarly aggrieved and incensed, joined the chorus of war cries, drawing their weapons and charging forward. Charge! Take them down! Engage! Xianxia once again activated her superpower, causing a few of the attackers to stumble carelessly, tripping over stones or vines in their rush, letting out cries as they tumbled forward. Some fared even worse, colliding with rocks, nearly shattering their knees, tears streaming from the pain. Onlookers, the brothers included, halted in their tracks, bewildered by the scene that unfolded. Wasn't this a bit too clumsy? How could they be so careless? It seemed like an ill omen. The assailants grew even more impatient and enraged. As they charged forth, impatience colored their approach. When Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and their comrades witnessed this formidable horde charging like a pack of wolves and tigers, bellowing and eager for combat, they remained resolute, though not particularly surprised. As they navigated the Black Tiger Forest, their senses remained keen, anticipating that something might occur within its shadowy depths. Now, with the impending threat finally manifesting, they were not only shocked but also felt a sense of readiness. Upon witnessing the charging adversaries, Sun Bai's lips curled into a cold smile, and he bellowed, "Prepare to engage." Leading the guards, he lunged forward to confront their opponents. Xiao Yinduan and Xianxia occupied separate carriages, necessitating that Sun Bai and the others relay information to him, rendering Xianxia's presence potentially inconvenient. Xiao Yinduan disembarked from the wagon and approached Xianxia's carriage. "My love, fear not. The assailants are not numerous. I believe Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and their team can handle them. Zhe, without engaging the enemy directly, stood guard at Xiao Xian's carriage alongside 7 or 8 other guards, keenly observing the unfolding battle. Xiao Xian, struggling to complete her task due to her dwindling energy, displayed a pale countenance when Xiao Yunduan approached. Misinterpreting her demeanor as fear, he sought to console her. Observing the battle and noticing Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and their comrades effectively holding their ground, Xiao Xian withdrew her power, mustering a forced smile in Xiao Yunduan's embrace. I'm not frightened. I trust Guard Sunday. Please don't worry, my dear. Xiao Yunduan whispered, I'm here for you. Xiao Xian smiled, gradually regaining her composure. The skirmish continued for about half an hour. Evidently, the assailants were aware of Xiao Yunduan's location and attempted to approach the carriage, but were thwarted by the staunch resistance from Sun Qian and his team. Observing that while the guards grew bolder in their defense, they also incurred significant casualties, the leaders sounded a whistle. In the blink of an eye, the assailants dispersed, vanishing from the scene. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1471, Ill-Intentioned Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the rest led the effort to clean up the aftermath, tending to the wounded and providing necessary first aid. The ordinary followers, although visibly shaken, staggered forward to offer their assistance. Their limbs trembled, and many could scarcely move due to exhaustion. None of the attackers survived the encounter. Sun Bai and Sun Qian felt a sense of remorse but recognized the necessity of their actions. Afterward, they invited Xiao Yunduan to a quiet spot. Lord, those people, despite their disguises as mountain bandits and their concealed identities, are certainly not typical mountain bandits. Genuine mountain bandits lack the coordination and training we just witnessed. These individuals possess highly disciplined skills, suggesting systematic and prolonged training. It's unlikely that common mountain bandits could achieve this level of proficiency. I suspect their background. There was a significant likelihood, around 80% to 90%, that they were dispatched by one of the princes, with the fourth prince being the prime suspect. However, lacking concrete evidence, Sun Bai refrained from making baseless accusations. Xiao Yunduan nodded and replied thoughtfully, I anticipated this would occur, and their presence reassures me. Nevertheless, I have a strong sense they won't give up easily. We must remain vigilant. Instruct them to maintain heightened patrols and to report any suspicious activity to me immediately. Understood, my lord. Sun Bai and Sun Qian nodded gravely, sharing Xiao Yunduan's sentiments. This was merely the beginning, not the conclusion. Each of the princes harbored deep-seated animosities against the crown prince, and the opportunity to undermine his standing was too tempting to resist. Whether it was solely the fourth prince or if other princes were involved remained unclear. As the crown prince, Xiao Yunduan was under constant scrutiny. He was cautious with his words and actions, refraining from making confrontational statements against his brothers to avoid tarnishing his reputation. This cautious approach allowed his siblings to accrue more power over time. Their organization boasted a substantial number of individuals under their command. Having already initiated action, they couldn't simply abandon their efforts. It was evident, though, that after the considerable delay, they wouldn't be able to exit the Black Pine Forest before nightfall, which further heightened everyone's anxiety. Xiao Yunduan remained unperturbed, calmly suggesting, we might as well limit our travels for the day. Once we cross this rocky slope, we can find a suitable spot to spend the night. With our large group, we need to be cautious. In a way, the forest's intricate environment serves as a form of protection for us. Witnessing his composed demeanor, the group found some solace and concurred with his decision. Xiao Yunduan boarded Xiao Xian's carriage and transferred Wuxia and 2 others to his own. His wife had likely been quite alarmed and needed his presence for comfort. Drawing the curtain, the carriage started to move at a leisurely pace. Xiao Yunduan took Xiao Xian into his arms, sitting her on his lap, gently reassuring her. Xiao Xian's heart warmed with a mixture of emotions, leaving her uncertain whether to laugh or cry. Nevertheless, she felt a sense of pride within herself, understanding the importance of demonstrating her courage and composure to her husband. Xiao Yunduan, seeing her unshaken demeanor, found immense relief. Throughout the journey, everyone remained on high alert and eventually traversed the rocky slope. After covering less than 3 miles, they halted and set up camp. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1472. Wolfpack. The scout relayed that they were still about 16 to 17 miles away from the Black Tiger Forest, a distance that would require at least half a day of walking. Upon careful consideration, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others selected a location within the woods to set up an overnight camp. They diligently cleared the area of underbrush, securing the horses to tree trunks and forming a protective ring with the carriages on the outer perimeter. They organized 4 rotating groups, each consisting of 36 individuals, to take turns patrolling during the night. The rest of the group were instructed to remain in their armor and not to remove it, maintaining a state of perpetual vigilance. As the sun slowly dipped below the western horizon, the evening glow faded, plunging the forest into deep darkness. The towering trees, rocks, and their shadowy silhouettes took on an eerie quality, exacerbated by sporadic sounds of flapping wings and eerie calls from birds, causing shivers down their spines. Their superior numbers provided some reassurance because if only a few individuals were to remain alone in this forest at night, the fear might have been paralyzing. To combat the darkness, they lit 3 large bonfires to illuminate the area. The night watchmen were responsible for ensuring the fires remained ablaze. In the moonless and pitch-black forest, the night offered no lunar illumination, making it an exceptionally dim night. On this particular night, Xiao Xian refrained from using her power to survey the surroundings. Her powers consumed significantly more energy during the night compared to daylight hours. Furthermore, she believed that the assailants would not return so promptly after their initial encounter. If they did, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others had taken thorough precautions, leaving little room for concern. As anticipated, the night passed without any disturbances from the attackers, but they faced a different threat, a pack of wolves. Over 100 adult gray wolves, howling in the middle of the night, aggressively descended upon their camp. It seemed as though the wolves cared not for their own lives, driven by an insatiable aggression. A sudden sense of alarm rippled through the camp, instantly thrusting everyone into a heightened state of vigilance. Xiao Xian swiftly employed her superpower to assess the situation, and thankfully, she detected only a pack of wolves with no human presence trailing them. These wolves exhibited highly unusual behavior, suggesting they might have been drugged with some sort of stimulant. Their ferocious howls and reckless charges threw the camp's guards into disarray, and several of them sustained bites. Under the coordinated command of Sun Bai and Sun Qian, the group eventually repelled the wolf pack after approximately an hour of intense combat. A collective sigh of relief echoed through the camp. They ignited torches to survey the scene and treat the wounded. Numerous ordinary followers were deeply shaken, huddled together in pairs or trios, consoling one another through sobs and discussions. Among the distressed individuals, one woman's screams and cries pierced the night, distinguishing her from the rest. While others cried quietly, she wept with such intensity that she seemed on the brink of screaming to the heavens. This woman was none other than Xiao Wei. During this tumultuous moment, Xiao Yunduan had gone to confer with Sun Bai and Sun Qian. Xiao Xian took it upon herself to console the frightened individuals, assess injuries, and instruct Li Xia and Li Qiao to prepare the necessary medicines. Upon hearing Xiao Wei's anguished cries, Xiao Xian furrowed her brow and summoned Mianmian, saying, "Let's go see what's happening." Mianmian acknowledged the command, and Yi swiftly trailed behind. When they arrived at the scene, a crowd had gathered around Xiao Wei. As Xiao Xian approached, the crowd dispersed, making way for her. "Madam Xiao. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1473. Xiao Wei injured. Xiao Xian nodded and directed her gaze towards Xiao Wei, who clutched her injured calf. What happened? Qiao Wei shot her an angry glare and retorted icily, "Can't you see for yourself? I'm injured." Qiao Xian gave an incredulous glance to those present. "You may leave now, lend your assistance wherever necessary, and retire to rest once you're finished. We still have a morning journey ahead of us." Initially, no one harbored a fondness for Qiao Wei, but upon hearing this, they concurred and dispersed, leaving only Qiao He behind. Qiao Wei seethed with anger, casting a hateful glare in Qiao Xian's direction. Qiao Xian sneered, "Why are you staring at me? Return to your tent if you have the time. You're not the sole person injured, and yet, you're the only one making a scene. Miss Qiao, are you concerned that others might not notice your fine singing voice?" Qiao Wei's face flushed with anger, and she snapped, "I was bitten by a wolf on my leg. I was bitten by a wolf. Observe it for yourself." The wolf's bite had nearly frightened her to death, and her leg had bled profusely. At the time, she believed she might face death or be left with a permanent injury. Fortunately, the two guards managed to eliminate the wolf in time. Despite this, the wound on her leg remained substantial, causing excruciating pain that left her incapable of withholding her cries. Qiao Xian was taken aback and shifted her gaze to Qiao Wei's leg. She observed the blood staining her dress. The darkness of the night obscured the wound, which Qiao Xian wouldn't have noticed without Qiao Wei's remark. Qiao Wei's sobbing grew louder. Qiao Xian cast a stern look at Qiao He and spoke coldly, "Your mistress is injured, yet you stand here motionless? How callous. In that case, you needn't serve her any longer. Leave." "Madam Xiao, what, am I not entitled to give you orders?" "Qiao Xian, do not overstep your bounds." Qiao Wei rebuked angrily. "He is my servant, and you have no right to shout at him." "I can't give her orders." "So what?" Qiao Xian scoffed and turned to Ai. "Take her away and teach her a lesson." "Yes, madam." Ai, who consistently followed Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's directives, promptly led Qiao He away. Miss! Enough." Qiao Xian delivered a resounding slap to Qiao He's face, her voice sharp. "What's the matter? Can't I issue commands to you? You're nothing more than a servant. From where did you acquire such impertinence? How dare you look down on me? By what right? Do you think I will tolerate it?" Qiao He, covering her stinging cheek, felt an overwhelming mix of humiliation and anger. She lowered her head and refrained from making any further noise. With no alternative, she bowed her head because she served Qiao Wei. Qiao Xian was prepared to scold her and even strike her, leaving her with no room to resist. Qiao Wei stood in stunned silence, quivering with rage. Were it not for her excruciating leg pain rendering her immobile, she would have risen to confront Qiao Xian in a brawl. No one treated others in such a degrading manner. What's the meaning of this? In merely providing your insubordinate servant with a lesson, Qiao Xian jeered. There's no need to thank me. Ai, escort her away. Yes, let's go. This time, Qiao He didn't dare to resist and cast a desperate plea towards Qiao Wei. However, Qiao Wei merely fixed a glare on Qiao Xian and chose not to utter a word. She was well aware that Qiao Xian had no intention of giving her any face. Would saying anything change Qiao Xian's mind? Qiao Xian was merely seizing an opportunity to ridicule her. Why should she demean herself? Why hadn't this wretched woman been eliminated during the daytime assassination? The attackers were completely inept. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1474, On Purpose. Qiao Xian instructed Mianmian, retrieve the medicine. With her back turned to Qiao Wei, she whispered something to Mianmian, who nodded and quickly departed. Before long, Mianmian returned with the necessary medical supplies. Qiao Xian then directed Wuxia and Qiao to assist her in applying the medicine and bandaging Qiao Wei's wound. Afterward, she instructed two maids to remain with Qiao Wei, ensuring they didn't leave her side for even a moment. Qiao Wei displayed no gratitude toward Xiao Xian. She merely glared at her and allowed the two maids to escort her away. With time, the commotion subsided, and the camp gradually grew quieter as everyone took the opportunity to rest. Shortly thereafter, Xiao Yunduan returned to their tent, shared by him and Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian addressed him, "Husband, I believe I've discerned why they placed Qiao Wei in this group." Xiao Yunduan was taken aback. After Qiao he was led away by Yi. Mian promptly followed and inquired about the medicine for external injuries. After Yi provided the information, she hurried away again. Yi didn't escort Qiao he elsewhere. Instead, he suddenly kicked her from behind, hitting the back of her knee joint. Caught off guard, Qiao he emitted a pained groan and tumbled to the ground. Her vision darkened, and tears welled up instantly. Suppressing the pain in her chest, she clenched her teeth and lowered her head. "Madam has instructed you to kneel here without moving. You'll remain kneeling throughout the night. Should I catch you slacking off, you'll continue kneeling the following night and the one after that." Gritting her teeth, Qiao he retorted, "Madam has gone too far. I still need to return to serve our Mississippi." Yi snorted and maintained his silent vigil, eyeing her intently. However, his silence did not signify agreement with her words. Qiao he seethed internally, cursing the peculiar individuals surrounding Xiao Xian. Especially Yi, who appeared foolish and guileless, as though he were easy to deceive, when in fact, he was anything but. Yi couldn't be bothered to engage with them. Even when they tried to strike up conversations with him, he remained utterly silent, no matter what they said. This time, it was no different. Her vehement protests seemed to fall on deaf ears, as if they had automatically muted themselves. Nonetheless, Qiao he was well aware that if she dared to make a move, he would unquestionably kick her again. Suppressing her fury, Qiao he deliberately adopted a pitiable countenance. She lifted her head to gaze at Yi. "My leg is wounded. Could you please provide me with some external injury medicine for treatment?" Yi glanced at her but continued to maintain his silence. Qiao he put on a forced smile. "I have no choice but to heed Madame Xiao's directive. I'll apply the medicine and accept my punishment." As she struggled to rise, Yi raised his foot. "Attempt to move." Qiao he couldn't take it any longer. Her knees turned weak, causing her to tumble heavily onto the rugged ground once more. Her vision dimmed, and tears nearly welled up again. "Is Madame truly so heartless? My legs will be ruined if I continue kneeling like this throughout the night." Yi remained unmoved, silently thinking to himself, "You deserve to have your legs ruined. A servant like you remained unscathed while your mistress got hurt. How would you complain once I've maimed your leg? It was only fair." Yi kept his gaze fixed on Qiao he until the entire area was tidied up before returning to his rest. Prior to departing, he didn't neglect to issue a threat. "Don't move, or else, humph." Qiao he seethed with resentment. Following Yi's departure, although she didn't dare to leave, she promptly seated herself on the ground. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1475, Torment. Qiao he gently massaged her knee, feeling the pain intensifying. Undoubtedly, her external injury was not trivial. However, she didn't have any medical supplies on her, but there was some external injury medicine in the carriage. Qiao he scanned her surroundings and signaled a guard to approach. She beseechingly asked for some external injury medicine. The guard glanced at her and tossed a bottle of medicine her way. Overflowing with gratitude, Qiao he hastily applied the medicine. The mountain night was chilly, with temperatures a few degrees lower than elsewhere due to the extensive forest. Qiao he trembled as she discreetly requested an additional cloak. Though not as cozy as being wrapped in a tense blankets, it would at least provide some defense against the cold. Shivering, she remained huddled in a ball throughout the night. The following morning, she was jolted awake by a sudden, searing pain. Yi had kicked her wounded leg. In a daze, she yelped and snapped awake. "You!" Yi declared, Madam ordered you to kneel throughout the night as a punishment for your negligence. Is this how you regard Madam's commands? You don't seem to take Madam seriously at all. I'm wounded, and it's cold here. I dozed off because I wasn't vigilant. Please have mercy. Qiao he knew that her wound must have reopened. Even if it was just a superficial wound, she couldn't predict how many days of torment lay ahead. Nevertheless, she was the one at fault and couldn't afford to challenge Ai in any way. All she could do was admit her mistake. Her humiliation was quite profound. Ai uttered, Madam expects you to return to your mistress. She anticipated your dishonesty and instructed you not to apply any more medicine or to take any. Kneel obediently in the carriage. If you defy her once more, it'll shatter your legs. Qiao he was stunned, her scalp prickling in apprehension. If Ai stated that he would break her leg, he would undoubtedly follow through with it. He wasn't one to be careless in his threats. Understood, Qiao he hobbled toward the carriage, feeling miserable. Each step she took was filled with excruciating pain. She privately cursed Ai for being exceedingly ruthless. In her current condition, she couldn't help but wonder how long it would take her to recover. Upon her return to the carriage, she was surprised to see two maidservants attending to Qiao Wei. Frowning, she said, Our miss doesn't need you to serve her. Please. The two maidservants exchanged glances but remained unmoved. Madame Xiao instructed us to be here. Yes, Madame Xiao emphasized that we must not leave without her consent. Qiao he seethed and glanced at Qiao Wei. Qiao Wei furrowed her brows slightly but said nothing. Qiao he was clearly limping and in no condition to take care of herself. Her leg had yet to heal. Bearing her anger, Qiao he eventually climbed into the carriage, her wounds screaming with pain. She allowed the two maidservants to help her, but they paid her no mind. Instead, they confidently stated, Madame Xiao sent us here to look after Miss Qiao. They were not here to serve her. Qiao he was seething with fury. Early in the morning, everyone continued their journey at a slow pace. Regardless of Qiao he's pleas for assistance, the two maidservants paid her no heed. Instead, they began to supervise her, insisting that she kneel and accept her punishment. She finally comprehended how Qiao Wei had felt when Xiao Xian had constantly scolded her. It was deeply frustrating, but she had no choice but to endure it. He responded indifferently, feigning as though they no longer existed. It was just kneeling, after all. She would endure it. She knelt for a prolonged period. Having endured the torment outside throughout the night, she had caught a cold and suffered the effects of Ai's kicks. Her external injuries were substantial. Moreover, she couldn't pretend to kneel under the watchful eyes of the two maidservants. In less than half a day, she fainted. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1476. Can't understand. By the time Qiao he slowly woke up, half a day had passed. The entire team had already walked out of the Black Tiger Forest. Xiao Xian asked Ai to pass the message, saying that she was going to show her some mercy, so she did not need to kneel down. Qiao he gritted her teeth and thanked her. At this moment, her legs were already aching and numb, and she had almost lost consciousness. Her head was dizzy, and her body felt cold and hot. It was extremely uncomfortable. However, the two maidservants acted as if they did not see anything and refused to even pour her a cup of hot water. Qiao he was angry, and hateful, so she could only endure it. Deep down inside her heart, she could not help but wonder what she had done to offend Madame Xiao. It was not enough for her to make trouble with Qiao Wei. Why did she make trouble with her, the maid? It could only be said that Madame Xiao was too free. Either she was frightened and deliberately took it out on them. The group of people finally left the Black Tiger Forest safely. All of them were energized and heaved a sigh of relief. The primordial old lady in the forest was lush and gave off a strong sense of oppression. Everyone wished that they could get as far away from it as possible. After walking out, they only took a short rest and ate something before immediately starting their journey again. Only half a day had passed. They could still walk for another half a day. This road was much easier to walk. They could walk far in half a day. After the discussion, Sun Bai and Sun Xian reported to Xiao Yunduan and suggested that they should keep a steady pace for the next few days. There's clearly something wrong with those gray wolves in the middle of the night. I don't dare to say if everyone will be able to sleep peacefully every night in the future. At night, they won't be able to sleep well. If they're in a hurry to travel during the day, even someone made of iron won't be able to last for more than a few days. If any negligence is caused, the consequences will be unimaginable. They all remembered that the wolf pack was the only one who attacked in the middle of the night yesterday. There was no one. In the battle in the morning yesterday, more than half of the other party had escaped. At this moment, they did not know where they were hiding, waiting for them to kill their way out when they were tired and negligent. Xiao Yunduan nodded. You are right. According to the normal schedule, we will reach Huning City in almost 20 days, right? If we travel at full speed, we will need about half a month. There is no need to fight for these days. If you don't have a good night's rest, you should slow down. You just need to return to Huning City within a month. Everyone was tired yesterday and didn't rest well at night. Pass down the order to camp early today. I have something to say then. Xiao Yunduan took a look at the two of them and praised them inwardly. They were indeed the elites of the prince's mansion. They were very thorough and timely. Sun Bai and Sun Xian looked at each other imperceptibly and secretly heaved a sigh of relief. They hurriedly agreed with cupped fists. What they were most worried about was that Lord Xiao would panic because of his insecurity. They wanted to speed up and get to Huning City as soon as possible. Everyone knew that as long as they reached Huning City, they would be much safer. Many people in the team had already expressed this intention. They couldn't wait to look like they could endure no matter how difficult or tiring the journey was as long as they could leave this place early. However, more haste less speed meant more danger, hence, they only rushed for about 2.5 hours in the afternoon. When they arrived at a place that Sun Bai and Sun Xian felt was suitable for them to camp for the night, they ordered the entire team to stop. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1477, Slow down as expected. This attracted a lot of dissatisfaction. What? It stopped just like that? Yes, it's too early. It's still early. We can walk for at least another 3 hours. Wouldn't it be better to speed up and go home as soon as possible? Yeah. Xiao Yunduan gathered everyone together. He was not sure if there were any spies of the fourth prince here, so Xiao Yunduan did not tell them the truth. He just said that it was better to stop and take a rest to prevent them from getting tired. It would be easier for them to travel if they had enough energy. Most of the people could not accept this reason. Xiao Yunduan had always been a gentle man, and his eagerness to go home had emboldened them. Some people could not help but raise their heads, and many people agreed with them, asking them to hurry up. Xiao Yunduan consoled them patiently, saying that it was for everyone's own good, so that they could have a good rest so that they would not feel uncomfortable on the road. There was no need to worry. Sun Bai and Sun Xian did not say a word. They stood there with indifferent expressions, but in fact, they were watching coldly from the side. Their shrewd eyes swept across everyone without batting an eyelid. From today onwards, those who spoke the most actively and were the most provocative would be watched by their trusted aides. Xiao Yunduan was going to cooperate with Sun Bai and Sun Xian, so he talked with them for a long time. When Sun Bai and Sun Xian signaled him with their eyes, he turned serious and said in a low voice, I am responsible for you, and I don't want you to come back to Huning City with a dirty face. That is unacceptable. I have made up my mind, don't say anything more. Hurry up and go to work. Set up camp early to cook and rest early. Everyone, disperse. With that, he turned around and left without caring if they had anything else to say. Everyone looked at each other and could only leave dejectedly or unhappily. They went to work. Qiao Xian was waiting for Xiao Yunduan with a smile. They looked at each other and smiled. Xiao Yunduan was very pleased. He took her hand and said softly, "It will take a long time on the way. You look like you are in danger, but in fact, you are saving your strength in case you are attacked. Don't worry, my wife, I have arranged everything." Qiao Xian nodded with a smile. "Husband, you don't have to explain to me. You have your own reasons." Xiao Yunduan smiled. How nice it would be if everyone was as reasonable as his wife. In the middle of the night, another crazed wolf pack came to harass them. This time, there were not so many, only 20. Even so, in the middle of the night, it caused a huge commotion in the camp. Fortunately, there were no casualties. The next day, they still found a suitable place to set up camp early in the morning. That night, they did not encounter any more accidents. However, there were crazy wolf packs attacking at night for 2 consecutive nights. Everyone subconsciously became vigilant and felt that they would come tonight, so they did not dare to fall asleep at night. On the night of the 3rd day, Qiao Xian secretly used her superpower and extended it to 5 miles away from the camp. That night, more than 10 wolves tried to attack the camp. But before they got close, Qiao Xian used her power to mutate the vines and strangled them all to death. It was not that she was cruel, but she had no choice. Although the grassland was vast, the number of wolves in each area was limited. The wolf pack and the wolf pack each had their own territory, so they would not easily cross the line. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1478, Superpower. It was impossible for the other party to always find so many wolves to cause trouble. The fact that there were fewer of them each time was a good indication of the truth. If there were more tomorrow night or the night after, it would definitely be even less. Moreover, in a few days, there would definitely not be any more. That night, everyone finally had a good night's sleep. They were full of energy, and they finally felt more at ease as they chatted and laughed. It seemed like the other party had run out of tricks. Qiao Xian was exhausted at night, so she was very sleepy during the day. At first, Xiao Yunduan thought that something was wrong with her, so he was worried and anxious. But then she said with a smile that she did not sleep well at night and that she just needed to get some sleep in during the day. Then Xiao Yunduan asked the accompanying doctor to check her pulse. It turned out that she was indeed tired and not in good spirits, so he did not insist. Qiao Xian slept for half a day in the wagon, and finally got over it. When they were about to reach their camp in the afternoon, they were much more energetic. Seeing this, Wuxia smiled and said, "Madam looks much more energetic now. Mian, quickly go and tell the adults. Don't let Lord worry." Mian smiled and agreed. She ordered the carriage to slow down and jumped down. Qiao Xian was not able to stop them, so she said helplessly, "That is not necessary. You are just messing around." Wuxia and Qiao covered their mouths and laughed. Qiao also smiled and said, "Madam, this was all instructed by the Lord. You went to bed early in the morning. The Lord came over several times and saw that you were sleeping soundly, so he couldn't bear to disturb you. That's why he specially instructed you. The Lord is taking good care of you, madam." "True." Qiao Xian got slightly startled. So she had slept for so long? She only knew that she had a very deep and comfortable sleep, but she had not expected that she would fall asleep during the whole day. A few moments later, Xiao Yunduan rode a horse over and called her through the curtain. Qiao Xian lifted the curtain and smiled at him. "Husband." Xiao Yunduan smiled and looked at her up and down. "You look much more energetic. You must be tired." As she spoke, she felt a little guilty. Over the past few days, she had probably been frightened a lot. Although she did not show it on her face, when he comforted her, she was still smiling and comforting him instead. However, how could he not be afraid? Xiao Yunduan sighed inwardly. Thinking about how there were still so many days to go, he couldn't help but say some comforting words. They chatted for a while and Xiao Yunduan left when someone came to look for him. After traveling for less than half an hour, they stopped and set up camp. At this time, it was about 4 in the afternoon. In this place where the sky turned dark much later than in the capital, there were at least 4 hours before it turned dark. Xianxia was full of energy and felt refreshed, so she went to find trouble with Qiao Wei. Qiao Wei's injury had been tampered with by Xianxia, and she was recovering very slowly. Qiao He's leg had been kicked by Ai, and the medicine was not very effective either. These days, the two of them had been very low-key and kept a low profile. As soon as Xianxia arrived, Qiao Wei got startled and stared at her. Xianxia snorted. "I am just here to see how Miss Qiao is doing. Please get well, or we will be dragged down." You didn't do it on purpose, right? You." The veins on Qiao Wei's forehead throbbed as she gritted her teeth. "Xianxia, don't push me too far. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1479. Too surprising. Xianxia did not care about what she said, so she made a fuss for a while before leaving. Qiao Wei wanted to curse, but when she saw the two maids in the carriage, she gritted her teeth and almost vomited blood. That night, just as Xianxia had expected, less than 10 wolves were released to cause trouble. It seemed that they had a very clear purpose. The result of the attack was not important. What was important was to harass them and not let them live in peace. Unfortunately, they had miscalculated Rui's plan. Those few wolves were killed by Xianxia when they were still 5 miles away. After finishing the work that night, Xianxia found that she was not as tired as last night. It had something to do with the fact that there were not many wolves tonight. Maybe it was because she had used too much last night, which was also a stimulation for her power, making it more solid. Another safe and sound night passed. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. They felt that the other party must have given up after realizing that there was no opportunity to take advantage of them no matter what they did. The atmosphere in the entire camp became much more relaxed and light. Sun Bai and Sun Xian did not dare to be negligent. They ordered their trusted subordinates to pass down the order. They still had to be careful and vigilant. It was impossible for the fourth prince to only have this little trick up his sleeve. What they did not know was that in another place in the grassland, a group of people looked at the row of wolf corpses on the ground in front of them. Their expressions were solemn as they fell into deep shock and contemplation. It was the same for both knights. Before these wolves could reach the other party's camp, they were all dead. There was not a single wound on his body. All of them were suffocated to death by the neck. How was this possible? This was a wolf, not some harmless little animal. Moreover, they had fed them medicine that would make them irritable and irrational. If they wanted to kill them, they could only fight them head-on. No one could strangle them so neatly. However, such a thing had really happened. There were more than 30 of them, so there was no way they could be wrong. What the hell is going on? Strange, too strange. This. How did they do it? What kind of method is this? It's too terrifying. The group of people were bewildered. They discussed and discussed, but in the end, they could not come to a conclusion. They did not believe it. They still had the last group of wolves that they had hired someone to capture. There were 36 of them. They had originally planned to release them 3 nights later to harass them, but now they had changed their minds. They would release them all that night and send 7 people to follow them to investigate. They had to find out what was going on. So this night, Xianxia not only found the wolves, but also the people following them. Those people must have realized that those wolves had died abnormally. They wanted to see clearly. Fortunately, only 7 people came. It was obviously impossible for 7 people to keep an eye on more than 30 wolves. Xianxia's superpower had reached a level where she could control her power freely. Also, it was very dark at night, and the grass was very lush at this time of the year. She could always choose their blind spots to attack, and soon, 7 or 8 wolves died silently. When someone noticed the dead wolves and ran over to take a look, the others joined them as well. While they were looking at each other, Qiao took the opportunity to strike, using her superpower to take down another 7 or 8 wolves before they could see them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1480. It happened again. She repeated the same method 2 or 3 times. When the 7 people were dizzy, bewildered, and unable to look around in time, the 36 wolves had already suffocated to death. They silently lay in various postures in the grass. Under the bleak night sky, a cold wind blew, and the weeds rustled. A bone-piercing chill rose from under their feet, making one's hair stand on end. Ghost. There's a ghost. One of them let out a shrill cry and screamed as he turned around and ran. The other 6 were already frightened by this strange scene. With someone taking the lead, everyone's mentality immediately collapsed. One after another, they just turned around and ran in panic. How was this still a shadow guard assassin with strong martial arts skills? They were just in a sorry state. Xiao snickered inwardly. She immediately activated her power and wanted to kill all 7 of them. She did not dare to kill them, but these bastards were not good people. They could at least be half crippled. But these people were not weak, so they ran away as fast as lightning. Xiao did not manage to catch all of them, so she only caught the 2 people who were the last. The 2 of them were caught by the grass and fell to the ground. In their shock, they wanted to get up and continue running, but they could not get up no matter what. The grass wrapped around their feet became tighter and tighter, so tight that it was almost into their flesh. The 2 of them were both experts in martial arts and could easily break the necks of others. However, at this moment, they were wrapped by the weeds and could not break free. They had just witnessed such a strange scene. Now that they had encountered such a situation, the 2 of them were frightened out of their wits. They tore open their throats and screamed, "Help! Help!" Then, their eyes rolled back and they actually fainted from fear. After dawn, the other party's group came searching. When they saw the wolf corpses all over the ground, they were all speechless. When they found the 2 of them, they checked their breathing and found that they were still breathing. They were overjoyed and quickly saved them. They were still hoping to get something out of them. Unexpectedly, the 2 of them were still filled with fear when they woke up. They did not know anything. They really did not know. It must be a ghost. A ghost grabbed my foot. I couldn't break free no matter how hard I struggled. It must be a ghost. It's too scary, too scary, one of them was mumbling incoherently, while the other was so frightened that his eyes were frozen. When he heard these words, his face instantly turned pale, and he screamed with fear in his eyes. He had obviously gone crazy. When everyone looked at the 2 of them again, their legs were already crippled. Moreover, their mental state was abnormal. Everyone looked at each other, especially those who had personally experienced that strange thing last night. Their eyes were filled with fear, and their hearts were filled with sorrow. Almost, they would also become like this. Lord, what should we do? What kind of demon, demonic spirit technique is this? What kind of demon technique is this? No matter what it is, everyone fell silent, and the air became suffocating. Yes, no matter what it was, they could not resist it. How were they supposed to continue playing like this? Were they really going to die one by one? Fear rose in everyone's hearts, and they all wanted to retreat. The hesitation in the leader's eyes only lasted for a short moment. He sneered and said, "I don't know what unorthodox methods they used, but their goal has clearly been achieved. Look at all of you. What are you afraid of? Don't forget what we're here for. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1481. Discovered again. Remember Master's warnings before we embarked? Can't say you're ignorant of Master's temperament. Heads hung in solemn agreement as the leader continued, shedding light on the mysterious wolf deaths. The wolves were drugged by us, but they outsmarted us. Planted medicine outside their camp, and the wolves succumbed. Relief washed over the group as they nodded, finding clarity in the explanation. As for those two, they were likely captured and had their wills crushed, left behind to sow panic. Your reactions played right into their hands. A collective sense of shame settled among them. The leader's cold smile cut through. Don't buy into their schemes. Prepare yourselves. Tonight, we infiltrate and eliminate Qiao. Yes. That night, over 30 people stealthily approached Qiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, and the others. However, Qiao Xian detected them 5 miles away. With time being of the essence, Qiao Xian couldn't afford to let her guard down. Sleep during the day, vigilance at night, every moment counted. Surprisingly, her superpower became more potent and concentrated with each stimulation. A delightful revelation amidst the tension. Tonight, a substantial number of skilled individuals, clad in nocturnal attire, silently moved with expertise. Their potential intrusion posed unimaginable consequences. Qiao Xian, however, smirked internally. Without hesitation, she employed her superpower, setting the camp stones in motion, causing grass and leaves to tremble violently. This anomaly swiftly captured the attention of patrolling guards. Birds resting in the distance took flight, their alarmed cries piercing the night air. Chilled to the bone, the guards shouted, "Be on guard! Be on guard!" The would-be assassins, brimming with killing intent and set on catching their targets off guard, seethed with anger as their vision darkened. Curses filled the air. Bastard! Bastard! Boss, what now? Should we press on? Why bother advancing? The leader spat hatefully. We've alerted them. No chance of victory, no chance of success. Retreat. Yes. Exposure was no longer a concern. Abandoning stealth, the group hastily reversed course. Sun Bai and his men pursued, but it was too late. Regrettably, they had to relent. In a concealed location, over 30 individuals in night clothes, some standing, some sitting, wore grim expressions. Unease spread among them as they exchanged furtive glances. Something was amiss. It felt as if the other party had divine intervention. Despite their efforts to conceal traces during the ambush and this sneak attack, they inexplicably triggered the nesting birds, causing a chaotic disturbance and thwarting their plan. The inexplicable turn of events left them thoroughly disheartened. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1482, Could There Be a Spy? They were all elite individuals handpicked by the Fourth Prince, capable of taking on 10 opponents solo. Whether in martial arts or strategic thinking, they excelled. Even if the other party's defenses were as impenetrable as an iron bucket, the likelihood of infiltrating and assassinating them was still remarkably high. Yet, before they could make a move, an unexpected incident occurred. How could they reconcile with such a turn of events? This was a level of frustration they had never experienced before. Boss, could there be a spy among us? How else could this be so coincidental? The mere suggestion sent shockwaves through the group. The revelation hung in the air, prompting furtive glances and silent suspicions among them. Each member couldn't help but wonder if someone among them was a double agent. The leader felt a chill in his heart, eyeing everyone with suspicion. He was not one to believe in chance or luck, and the idea of a traitor seemed to provide a more plausible explanation. Yet, identifying the mole was no easy task. None of them appeared to be a likely suspect. Despite being trusted aides of His Highness, the unpredictability of the human heart left room for doubt. If there's no evidence, refrain from baseless accusations, the leader warned, though internally he pondered, could the accuser be deflecting attention from their own guilt? Despite the suspicion, immediate action seemed inappropriate. The priority now was to uncover the mole. Amidst the tension, the atmosphere suddenly shifted to calmness, surprising Xiao Yunduan, Sun Bai, and Sun Qian. This time, they were genuinely stunned, struggling to grasp the meaning behind the other party's actions. Even the experienced Sun Bai and Sun Qian found themselves bewildered. The only certainty amidst the confusion was the assurance of sufficient rest time. With that, the pace of their journey could be accelerated. Yet, vigilance remained paramount, especially during the night. Careful selection of safe resting places was imperative. The plan had undergone a drastic change. What was initially estimated to be a cautious month-long journey was now shortened by 6 to 7 days, adding a layer of torment to their stay in this desolate, dangerous foreign land. The return to Huning City was imminent, slated for no more than 3 days according to the revised itinerary. The anticipation lifted spirits, infusing the group with newfound energy as they hurried forward. Each evening, during their camp setups and rests, small groups convened to passionately discuss plans for their return to Huning City. The prospect of relaxation and rest fueled their eagerness to hasten the journey. That night, they camped on a small hill, enjoying a broad field of vision with their backs against a weathered stone wall. As they neared Huning City, the scarcity of trees made ambushes difficult, contributing to a subconscious sense of relaxation. Amidst the eagerness to return home, a lapse in attention became inevitable. Little did they anticipate that their proximity to Huning City would almost lead to their demise on an otherwise ordinary night. Accustomed to extending her superpower's range to 5 miles, Xianxia ensured constant vigilance over the surroundings, keeping everyone safe. In the early morning haze, the thunderous sound of approaching horse hooves startled Xianxia, prompting her to instinctively retract her superpower. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1483. Besiege. Xianxia was disoriented by the earth-shattering noise. Before she could react, a piercing whistle echoed through the intermediate camp. In swift succession, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and others shouted, "Enemy attack! Quick! Prepare to defend! Hurry up!" Under the leader's commands, the guards swiftly armed themselves and assumed their positions. The ordinary followers, engulfed in chaos, were left unattended as everyone focused on the impending threat. Cavalries approached with lightning speed, catching Xianxia off guard. In the blink of an eye, they were upon her. Charge! Kill! The thunderous battle cries sent shivers down spines. Horses neighed, hooves raised dust, and a formidable group of at least 100 warriors brandishing bright sabers and long swords charged forward with deadly intent. The ground quivered. Fire! 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 Both sides issued the order simultaneously. Arrows hissed through the air, intertwining like locusts, and sharp, cold arrowheads aimed straight for their targets. The camp descended further into chaos, with a cacophony of screams and cries filling the air. Qiao, with a pale face, stood amidst the chaos, flanked by Qiao, and Mian, while Yi took a sturdy stance in front of them. Qiao activated her superpower, using roots to trip the oncoming horses. The galloping horses, too fast to evade, succumbed to the trap. Dozens of them knelt down, unleashing screams and neighs, tossing some riders off in the process. In the blink of an eye, dozens of horses fell in a spectacular scene. Get off the horse! Get off the horse! Charge forward and kill! The opposing party was clearly caught off guard by the unexpected turn of events. Seeing the inevitability of the battle, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others seized the opportunity. As the opposing horses collided and chaos ensued, Sun Bai waved his hand and commanded, "Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, follow me and fight our way out. Archers, get ready. The rest of you, hold your positions. Brothers, charge." Sun Bai leaped into action, his longsword moving like a meteor. He stabbed an opponent in the chest, kicked them away, and swung his sword with lethal precision. The leader, with a single eye glaring fiercely, raised a bright saber and slashed at Sun Bai. Both sides plunged into a chaotic battle. Saber light and sword shadows scattered in every direction. The sharp clang of weapons colliding sent tremors of fear through onlookers. Screams and grunts punctuated the chaos, and blood splattered, turning the ground red. Some fell, never to rise again. Xiao Yunduan and a few guards gathered the ordinary servants in designated spots, quelling their panic. He turned to look at Xiao Xian, their eyes meeting. Xiao Xian waved at him with a reassuring smile, and Xiao Yunduan felt a sense of relief. The enemies, numerous and relentless, displayed savage ruthlessness, charging fearlessly with no intent to relent. The two sides clashed in a tumultuous battle, locked in an unyielding struggle. The chaos prevented Xiao Xian from effectively using her superpower. Unable to accurately target anyone, she could only fret internally. At this rate, a solution seemed elusive. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1484. Fight. The opposing force boasted a larger number of people, resulting in more guards than their own team. However, the numerical advantage was not significant. The adversaries displayed a valiant and ferocious demeanor, exuding a sense of banditry. Their bold and reckless fighting style proved challenging to resist. Their side seemed impervious to defense, while the defenders faced the burden of maintaining their position at all costs. The dilemma lay in the fact that the opposing party operated without restraint, unburdened by concerns. On the contrary, their side had to staunchly defend the position, as any breach, whether it led to the slaughter of ordinary entourage members or their capture as hostages, would thrust them into a perilous situation. The opposing force understood this dynamic well, which drove them to risk their lives in a relentless charge. Despite their best efforts, their men could only fight to a draw, forming an ineffective barrier. The current situation indicated an imminent breakthrough of the defense line. Sun Bai, Sun Xian, and the core leaders, acutely aware of the impending threat, felt a sense of extreme anxiety. Unexpectedly, a billow of dust appeared in the distance. Another group of people galloped towards them, heading in their direction. Judging by their speed, they would likely reach them in an instant. It was evident that their numbers were significant. Sun Bai and Sun Xian exchanged a glance, understanding each other's thoughts. Let I escort the Lord and Madam to safety. Rally our brothers, and we'll fight our way out. Everyone, flee for your lives. Our fate depends on luck. Let's do it. Bitterness and heaviness weighed on them, but this seemed to be the only viable course of action. Their unwillingness was palpable. Just a couple of days away from reaching Huning City, yet now faced with the prospect of death on the grassland. Who would willingly accept such a fate? The ruthlessness and lack of scruples displayed by the fourth prince, colluding with grassland bandits to orchestrate this attack, caught them off guard. These were no ordinary bandits. The moment the fight began, Sun Bai, Sun Xian, and others could discern their true nature. Sun Bai shouted, forcing his opponent to retreat with his long sword before swiftly heading towards Xiao Yunduan. The approaching smoke and dust signaled the imminent arrival of reinforcements. The ground trembled, and the distant hooves' faint neigh echoed. Time was running out. A decision had to be made instantly and acted upon without delay. Xiao Yunduan promptly rejected Sun Bai's suggestion. Let I escort my wife and his childhood friend. Can't you all protect me? Naturally, he stood by their side. But, no buts. If I go with my wife, we become an easy target. They'll relentlessly pursue us. However, if we separate, they'll chase after me individually, relieving some pressure. Those pursuing Xiao Xian would find no success against the Thunder God's speed. Ai, endowed with strength and martial prowess, alongside his intelligent wife, held a high chance of escaping danger and returning to Huning City. The decision was made, and Xiao Yunduan asserted, it's settled. You organize the men to break through, and they'll talk to her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1485. Prepare to escape. Sun Bai stood there, momentarily speechless. Frowning, he sighed, then stomped his feet to carry out Xiao Yunduan's orders, organizing the servants. Taking hold of Xiao Xian's arms, Xiao Yunduan whispered urgently. Xian was taken aback. There's no time. Tell Ai to prepare. You'll charge forward shortly. Sun Bai will arrange cover for you. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Sun Bai and the others can protect me. It'll take Wuxia and the rest, but whether they make it out depends on luck. Xiao Yunduan couldn't offer guarantees in such dire circumstances. A lump formed in Xiao Xian's throat. Her bond with Wuxia and the others ran deep, and she couldn't leave them behind. But to Xiao Yunduan, they were merely servants. Had it not been for him, Xiao Yunduan wouldn't have given them special attention. Today's unforeseen event surpassed their expectations. The chances of escape hinged on life itself. Suddenly, Xiao Xian had an idea. She held on to Xiao Yunduan and said, "Husband, it might not be an enemy, it could be one of us." Xiao Yunduan was startled. Quickly, Xiao Xian smiled and continued, "I don't believe they're enemies. They don't need to approach in two separate groups. If they truly belong to our side, wouldn't it be better to combine forces and attack simultaneously? Don't forget, we're close to Huning City, with numerous garrisons within 100 miles. Who's to say?" Xiao Yunduan's eyes flickered as he began to consider. Xiao Xian chuckled. "Shall we make a bet?" She gazed at him with bright black eyes, a faint smile gracing her red, full lips. The curve of her eyes and the flicker within spoke of her confidence and brightness. Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but be excited by her words. What she suggested made perfect sense. With that in mind, he decided to take the gamble. Even if they lost, there would still be time to escape later. Having Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and Yi by their side made the couple's escape a manageable task. For the others, escaping now would likely result in heavy casualties, and the outcome wouldn't differ much if they waited. On the other hand, if the bet proved correct, there would be no need for anyone to escape, and no harm would befall them. The gamble seemed too favorable to pass up. Xiao Yunduan erupted into laughter. "All right, let's take the gamble. You've always been lucky, and I trust you." Xiao Xian smiled. "We are both lucky." The couple exchanged grins. Xiao Yunduan immediately sought out Sun Bai. Sun Bai was taken aback by his words, contemplated it, and eventually agreed. Indeed, the distinction between fighting their way out now or later wasn't significant. In that case, they decided to wait. The thunderous sound of horse hooves became deafening as the group of at least 50 to 60 riders approached. "Blind Sure, is it really you? Why are you here again?" Although this group consisted of only 50 to 60 cavalrymen, it was evident they were elite. All had arrows notched, aimed at the battlefield where the two sides had ceased their deadly conflict. Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others could now clearly discern that these individuals were from Great Qin. Despite lacking military attire, the bows and arrows were unmistakably of military origin. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1486, The Result of the Gamble. Additionally, these horses were impeccably groomed, a standard not found anywhere outside the military. In contrast to Blind Sure and his companions' mounts, which varied greatly. Sun Bai promptly cupped his fists and declared in a resounding voice, "Brothers, we are escorting Princess Xuanfu and the Prince of Qingdis wedding envoy team. For some reason, we find ourselves besieging and attacking these bandits. Please assist us. We will surely repay your kindness after this." The opposing group appeared startled, gasping as they regarded them with curiosity. Xiao Yunduan rose and offered a respectful salute. "Thank you so much." Blind Sure, in apparent distress, feigned composure. He spat and declared fiercely, "How would I know who they are? I just aim to relieve them of their riches. Unluckily for me, it seems my fortunes have run dry. Let's go." With a shout, he leaped onto the nearest horse, clamping his legs together and smacking the horse's hindquarters twice with the hilt of his knife. The horse whinnied in pain and galloped away. His subordinates, in a panicked frenzy, hastily mounted their horses, some settling for whichever they could seize. In the blink of an eye, they scattered like frightened birds and beasts, leaving the scene swiftly. The young man who had berated Blind Sure earlier brandished his whip with a cold smile. Consider yourself fortunate this time. You've had an easy escape. As he spoke, he dismounted, and those with him also stowed their bows and arrows, following suit. Xiao Yunduan retrieved the marriage envoy token and handed it to Sun Bai, proclaiming loudly, I am Xiao, Minister Counselor of the Ministry of Revenue, escorting Princess Shuangfu and the marriage envoy. Here is my token. May I know how to address you? It wasn't merely a matter of formalities but also a means to confirm their identities. Xiao Yunduan also requested the same from the opposing party. Given the unfamiliarity between the two sides, uncertainties lingered. What if they were deceived? What if the other party, seemingly weak, was actually in league with Blind Sure and his accomplices? In this unfamiliar terrain, Xiao Yunduan couldn't afford to be careless. Sun Bai, holding the token, led a few personal guards forward, taking the initiative to request verification from the other party, displaying a commendable sincerity. The man burst into laughter, a blend of amusement and surprise evident in his tone. Lord Xiao, your reputation precedes you. I am Meng Wanfu, the general stationed at Baiming Pass, 40 miles northeast of Huning City, bestowed with the title of Longhu General by the Emperor. Yesterday, I led my men out of the city for a hunt and unexpectedly crossed paths with you. Lord Xiao, rest assured, from this moment on, all of you are safe. Galloping across the grassland with his cavalry, Meng Wanfu moved considerably faster than Xiao Yunduan's gradual journey. Meng Wanfu produced his identity token and handed it to Sun Bai. The moment Sun Bai touched the token, he sensed its authenticity. Delighted, he returned the token to Xiao Yunduan. Sun Bai recognized Meng Wanfu, a rising star in the military. Without a prominent background, he relied on his boldness to make a name for himself. Known for suppressing bandits in the northern region, he once single-handedly thwarted a Beihu ambush on a town, saving over 1,000 lives. This feat earned him the title of a fourth-grade general. Blessed with subsequent successes, he received 2 significant promotions. In a moment of joy, the emperor granted him the title of a third-rank Longhu general. Lacking strong affiliations, Meng Wanfu became a subject of clandestine scrutiny, with various factions attempting to secure his allegiance. However, none dared to be too overt in their efforts. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1487, Old Friend. That's why the Crown Prince took notice of him. Sun Bai and Sun Qian were also aware of it. Knowing Sun Bai's meticulous nature, Xiao Yunduan trusted that if he was fine, there must be no problem. He moved forward to meet General Meng. With the confirmation of safety, everyone let out a collective sigh of relief. They proceeded to clean up the battlefield, tend to their wounds, and pack their belongings. Meng Wanfu and his companions joined in to lend assistance. Out of the blue, Meng Wanfu turned to Xiao Yunduan and remarked, Lord Xiao, do you truly not recognize me? Xiao Yunduan was taken aback. He gazed at Meng Wanfu, perplexed. General Meng, have we met before? A handsome and petite soldier beside Meng Wanfu chuckled. Looking up, she smiled and said, Lord Xiao, do you remember me? Both Xiao Yunduan and Sun Bai were surprised. This bodyguard, disguised as a man, was evidently a woman. While her true identity initially went unnoticed, her feminine tone during speech now made it unmistakable. You are, Xiao Yunduan furrowed his brow. He had a faint recollection of her, but couldn't place her name. The situation felt perplexing. One was General Meng, and the other stood before him. They were likely associated with General Meng. Both inquired if he remembered them, yet he couldn't recall either. The awkwardness of the situation weighed on him. If he had encountered these 2 individuals before, logic dictated that he shouldn't have forgotten them. This was unreasonable. It felt too unreasonable. Since when did his memory become so unreliable? The woman burst into laughter and explained, I apologize, Lord Xiao. It's perfectly normal not to remember me. While we hailed from the same village, you were engrossed in your studies, either at the academy or home. Meanwhile, I toiled in the mountains and fields every day. I doubt you saw me more than a few times. You're a renowned scholar in our village. Naturally, you'd be remembered. Xiao Yunduan gasped, suddenly recalling something. Surprised, he exclaimed, You're Ding Xiang. I didn't expect to see you here. Xiao Yunduan nearly blurted out, You're not dead. Recognizing the inauspiciousness, he cut himself off just in time. Normally, he wouldn't make such a low-level mistake. Yet, Ding Xiang's presence caught him off guard. He did remember Ding Xiang. Otherwise, he wouldn't have found her familiar. However, the Ding Xiang before him differed significantly from his memory, preventing the connection. The magical and unbelievable nature of this world left him dumbfounded. Ding Xiang joined Meng Wanfu in hearty laughter. I never imagined Lord Xiao would recall me. Ding Xiang expressed her joy. Meng Wanfu smiled, opting not to press Xiao Yunduan further. He respectfully bowed and said, Lord Xiao, do you remember saving a man in a coma on your way home with Madame Xiao? That was me. While Xiao Yunduan might not recall Meng Wanfu could never forget his savior. Unaware of the capital's situation, the Lord Xiao before them matched the image in Meng Wanfu's mind. Ding Xiang's mention of Xiaoding village aligned with what Madame Xiao had conveyed. Everything fell into place. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1488, What Godly Luck Is This? Xiao Yunduan recollected the incident, widening his eyes in astonishment. That's you. Meng Wanfu chuckled. Indeed. Lord Xiao, both you and Madame Xiao are my saviors. Never expected to cross paths today. Fate works in mysterious ways, ha ha ha. Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but join in the laughter. Meanwhile, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others were left dumbfounded. What kind of magical spectacle was unfolding? What extraordinary stroke of luck was this? Life, indeed, teemed with surprises. Meng Wanfu continued, Lord Xiao's triumph in the Primus made Madame Xiao incredibly proud. She spoke highly of your village, foretelling a bright future. I remember the person who aided me was also from Xiaoding village. Truly, Xiaoding village is blessed. Little did I expect that you, Lord Xiao, were that person. Ding Xiang chuckled. On that note, Madame Xiao is also my savior. If she hadn't secretly provided me with food back then, I doubt I'd have had the strength to scale the wall, let alone escape. Emotions welled up in Ding Xiang. Xiao Yunduan, at a loss for words, could only offer a helpless expression. After a brief exchange, Xiao Yunduan gathered that their awareness of the capital's affairs was limited. They remained oblivious to the developments between him and his wife or her involvement in Princess Xianxia's wedding party. Understandably, the distant capital held little relevance to the border soldiers. They seldom concerned themselves with events in the capital, deeming them unrelated and inconsequential. Smiling, Xiao Yunduan added, My wife is among the guests accompanying Princess Xiangfu on her journey to be wed. Initially, she was conversing with the princess and is currently with the envoys, so you, really? Ding Xiang's eyes sparkled with surprise and delight. Is Madame Xiao truly here? Where can I find her? Xiao Yunduan gestured behind him, and Ding Xiang eagerly rushed toward them. Meng Wanfu chuckled and waved at Xiao Yunduan, expressing respect. Lord Xiao, please. It seems we still have a considerable distance to cover. Lord Xiao, take a rest. Xiao Yunduan nodded with a smile. General Meng, there's no need for such formality. I don't possess the qualifications. But Meng Wanfu insisted, you are more than worthy. Anytime, you're worthy. Scholars like you are admirable, knowing so much, unlike me, barely literate. Besides, you're my savior. Xiao Yunduan countered, General Meng, you misunderstand. Even without our assistance, you would have carved out your own path to success. We merely lent a helping hand. General Meng, let's not bring this up again. I'm not deserving of such praise. Meng Wanfu laughed heartily. Alright, let's drop the topic. In short, if Lord Xiao ever needs my assistance, just ask. Xiao Yunduan's thoughts turned to Qi. He contemplated seeking Meng Wanfu's help, given that Qi was also in the area. However, broaching the subject now seemed inappropriate. He would address it in a few days. Ding Xiang spotted a group of busy women on the hill and hastened toward them. Initially oblivious, Lixia, Qiao, and the others were taken aback when they saw her approaching their mistress. They quickly intercepted her. My lord, you, Ding Xiang burst into laughter and, realizing her attire, explained with a smile, I'm a woman just like you. Please don't stop me. Where is Madame Xiao? I'm an old friend. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1489, Old Friend Lixia and Qiao were bewildered. An old friend? Ding Xiang scanned the surroundings and spotted Xiao Xian. With a cheerful smile, she waved her hands and called out, Madame Xiao. Madame Xiao. Her melodic voice confirmed her identity as a woman. Xiao Xian looked up and recognized her. Stunned. You are. Ding Xiang spared Xiao Xian the guessing game. Lifting her head, she beamed with a bright smile. Madame Xiao, I am Ding Xiang from Xiaoding village. You visited me that night and brought me food. Ding Xiang. Xiao Xian echoed Xiao Yundu in surprise, nearly bursting with excitement. Ding Xiang. I knew you would be all right. I had a feeling back then. I never expected this. Ding Xiang chuckled and nodded emphatically. Yes. I'm perfectly fine. Despite their brief encounter, the unique circumstances had etched Ding Xiang in Xiao Xian's memory. Meeting an old friend from such a distant place, and with Ding Xiang's warm reception, the two instantly felt a strong connection. As the two groups merged and resumed their journey, Ding Xiang had changed into simple women's clothes and settled into Xiao Xian's wagon. Curious, Ding Xiang inquired about the reactions of her former supreme-grade family after her departure. Xiao Xian candidly shared the details, and Ding Xiang, unfazed by her grandparents' response, flashed a cold smile. Hearing about the rift between Ding Xiang's family and the supreme-grade family due to her death, her eyes moistened. She discreetly tilted her head, wiping away a few tears. Blaming them for their perceived weakness had been a constant, even after gaining wealth. However, Xiao Xian's revelation seemed to dissipate the resentment, bringing clarity. While her awakening came at the cost of her life, the understanding dawned that her death would render it all meaningless. Recognizing the deep-seated issues in her family, Ding Xiang grasped that change wouldn't come easily, especially given her father's history of oppression and her mother's meek nature. As Xiao Xian reassured her about her family's well-being, Ding Xiang found solace. The news of her supposed demise, while initially upsetting, ultimately reassured her of their love. Even with a changed heart, the familial connection remained in her blood. Grateful for not having perished, Ding Xiang found comfort in Xiao Xian's words. She expressed her joy and proposed calling each other sisters. With a nod and a smile, Xiao Xian agreed, if you don't mind, we can indeed call each other sisters. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1490, Background, of course not. You're the wife of the Primus. You're amazing. I'm the one who doesn't mind. Ding Xiang smiled and expressed her gratitude. Sister, brother-in-law are all good people. Thank you for what you've done for my father and the others. I'm relieved to know that they're all fine. As she spoke, she chuckled. As for that family, when I go back with old Meng one day, I'll teach them a lesson. Now that our family has cut ties with them, that's great. We don't have to worry about anything anymore. Now that Ding Xiang was financially stable, she looked forward to returning and asserting herself. She was determined not to miss the opportunity. Ding Xiang expressed regret and jokingly said, "It's a pity that they're not living a glorious life now. Sigh, I can't wait for them to live a prosperous life now. When they lose everything and fall heavily, it will be even worse and harder to accept." Qiao Xian was left speechless. It sounded quite reasonable. When Ding Xiang discreetly left the village, a caravan happened to be traveling from the county to the provincial capital. She fabricated a pitiful background, claiming she was going to the provincial capital to seek refuge with her relatives. She pleaded with the caravan to take her along and offered to help in return. Impressed by her apparent hardship and clean appearance, the caravan owner agreed to bring her along. And so, Ding Xiang arrived in the provincial city. Her initial plan was to find a way to earn some capital before using it to establish herself. Little did she know that she would encounter Meng Wanfu by a stroke of luck. Both of them found themselves in similar circumstances, hailing from Heshan County with nowhere to go. They ended up relying on each other, making Ding Xiang feel more at ease, as if she had found a reliable ally. Although she had anticipated that this era differed from the more liberal time before her transmigration, leaving Shaoding village made her realize just how inhospitable this era was for a single woman. Establishing herself was an arduous task, especially for a woman with nothing to her name. In this era, even if she were captured by a few ruffians in broad daylight, there would be no one to come to her aid. Ding Xiang proposed that Meng Wanfu enlist in the army. Given his skills, military service was a viable option. They could head to the border together and await news of conscription. Besides, border cities were likely to have thriving trade, providing opportunities to earn money easily. Even if joining the army wasn't possible, there were still ample opportunities to make a living. Meng Wanfu considered the proposal and found it to be a practical approach, so he agreed. Using some of Meng Wanfu's funds, Ding Xiang purchased several sets of clothing for both of them. She also acquired a set of basic study tools and a few books, such as the 3-character classic and the 100 family surnames. During this process, Meng Wanfu felt a pang in his heart. However, Ding Xiang explained that he lacked literacy skills. Without the ability to read and write, it would be challenging for him to stand out in the army. Learning a few words every night was necessary for his future prospects. Though reluctant, Meng Wanfu acknowledged the validity of Ding Xiang's reasoning. Driven by his deep-seated resentment, he gritted his teeth and reluctantly agreed. Ding Xiang took on the role of his tutor. As for how Ding Xiang could read, she couldn't actually read. However, while working, she often eavesdropped on lessons in the neighboring village's school. In doing so, she managed to memorize the 3-character classic. Matching the words in the book allowed her to recognize them naturally. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1491, Foothold. Meng Wanfu believed in her and admired her. Subsequently, Ding Xiang employed this technique to instruct him in recognizing commonly used words. She went on to purchase several history books, narrating tales of the 36 strategies, historical anecdotes, principles, and more from the books. Meng Wanfu became even more impressed, feeling his own intellectual limitations. He found it challenging to grasp so much merely through reading. However, 50 taels of silver proved insufficient. In the provincial city, Ding Xiang acquired a subpar eyebrow pencil, investing over 10 taels in novel-looking paper flowers to sell to the embroidery workshop. Despite the flowers appearing novel, their actual value was limited, and the embroidery workshop was unwilling to pay a high price. After negotiations, they settled for a sale of 4 taels of silver. Ding Xiang then designed 2 sets of jewelry and sold them to a shop for 12 taels. The duo expended 10 taels to hire a carriage to Jianghu city and procured 200 caddies of tea leaves from Yuzhang. After 3.5 days, they reached Jianghu city and sold the tea leaves to the second Dao trafficker for 20 taels of silver. The total cost of the tea leaves was 11 taels. This trip yielded a profit of 9 taels, with only 1 or 2 taels spent to reach Jianghu City. In Jianghu City, Ding Xiang chartered a boat and bought a batch of goods to sell at the next stop. After more than a month, upon reaching Huning City, they managed to cover all their expenses, including food, accommodation, and transportation, and even earned 2 to 3 yuan. They reveled in laughter for an extended period. Meng Wanfu was brimming with admiration and a sense of ease. Even if he couldn't join the army, he could engage in business with Ding Xiang and make a living. Meanwhile, Ding Xiang, overwhelmed with emotion, was on the verge of tears. The transportation in ancient times was undeniably grueling. Although the journey from south to north covered only a short distance, after more than a month, she was utterly exhausted, nearly crippled. Despite her diligent efforts in accumulating goods, her earnings were meager. When they reached Huning City, they still had 65 taels of silver. Ding Xiang decisively took Meng Wanfu and spent 10 taels of silver to rent a small courtyard for a year and a half. Planning to stay for an extended period, staying in an inn, which would burn through too much money, was not an option. Meng Wanfu's luck proved favorable. In less than half a month, news of conscription spread. He was promptly selected, without any suspense. However, following Ding Xiang's advice, he didn't rush to stand out. Keeping a low profile, he proactively made friends. Only when appropriate did his superior, accidentally, discover that he not only knew how to read but also possessed knowledge of military tactics. Consequently, he swiftly became a member of a general's personal army. Later, Ding Xiang devised a plan for him, and with his intelligence and the fortune of survival, he thrived. Meanwhile, with Meng Wanfu managing her business in Huning City, Ding Xiang's enterprise flourished. She became a renowned businesswoman in the city. Naturally and seamlessly, the two of them married 2 years ago. Meng Wanfu respected and indulged Ding Xiang, never imposing restrictions. When someone offered him a concubine, Ding Xiang wielded a whip and kicked at the door, nearly scaring the person to death. Now, in the military camps around Huning City, everyone knew that Madame Meng was formidable and possessive. No one dared to present General Meng with concubines anymore. Curious about their well-being, Ding Xiang inquired about Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. She couldn't help but express concern. "Sister, you're a kind-hearted person. I fear those madams and young ladies in the capital aren't to be trifled with. Have they mistreated you in the capital? Will Lord Xiao protect you? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1492. Remember, Xiao Xian had married beneath his status, but with Xiao Yunduan now favored in the East Palace, Ding Xiang was unsure if he would become arrogant or develop undesirable habits as a result. Ding Xiang genuinely cared about Xiao Xian. Internally sweating, Xiao Xian felt stressed under Ding Xiang's concerned gaze. She had never expected someone to describe her as innocent, which left her feeling a bit embarrassed. Ding Xiang persisted, "I truly consider you one of us. If you ever face any injustices, you must inform me. I will ensure justice is served." Having no close relatives and viewing the Ding family as enemies, not family, Ding Xiang couldn't escape the estrangement in her heart. Although her parents' actions, fueled by the belief she was dead, brought relief, the emotional distance remained. Xiao Xian stood out as the only one who offered support during her troubled times, providing the warmth and comfort she craved. This kindness was etched in her memory, a sentiment she would carry with her for the rest of her life. Hearing Ding Xiang's tone, Xiao Xian couldn't help but laugh. She shook her head and replied, "My husband treats me well, he's a good man, and am not mistreated. If he ever mistreats me in the future, I'll turn to you for help." "Alright, don't forget." They exchanged smiles. Both were curious about each other's cities, Ding Xiang about the capital, and Xiao Xian about Huning City. They engaged in conversation throughout the day, parting only when they set up camp at night. With dozens of elites led by Meng Wanfu and Ding Xiang now in their group, everyone felt more secure. With Meng Wanfu standing alone, the fourth prince's subordinates wouldn't dare to act recklessly unless they went insane. Qiao Wei, almost recovered from her injuries, learned about Meng Wanfu and Ding Xiang's identities. In the evening, during their camp setup, she had someone assist her in greeting Ding Xiang. After visiting Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Xian returned to find Xiao Wei conversing with Ding Xiang. Ding Xiang, lowering her eyes, wore an unreadable expression. Disdain crossed Xiao Xian's face as she observed Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei always exuded confidence, but not everyone who seemed close to her agreed with her or considered her a friend. Birds of a feather flock together, and Xiao Wei was not part of that flock. Sensing Xiao Xian's return, Ding Xiang looked up, greeted her with a smile, and stood up. Sister. Xiao Xian smiled, taking a seat beside her. What were you discussing? At the affectionate use of sister by Ding Xiang, Xiao Wei's smile froze, replaced by burning jealousy and anger. What audacity! Why was Xiao Wei always present, ingratiating herself with Madame Meng so quickly? How shameless! Envy flared within her. Despite her previous indifference and lack of response to flattery, she found Xiao Xian so friendly. What had Xiao Xian done? Xiao Wei refused to let anyone address her as sister. Xiao Yunduan was merely a fifth-ranked official, not as powerful as General Meng, a third-ranked general. This felt like a trap. How shameless. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1493, Wretched Woman. Ding Xiang glanced at Xiao Wei and smiled faintly. Just some casual gossip. Xiao Wei immediately chimed in, exactly. Ms. Ding is so amusing, forthright, and knowledgeable. Conversations with her are like a refreshing breeze, so enlightening. Her use of Ms. Ding sounded intimate, creating an illusion of a deep and close friendship where they shared everything. Xiao Xian remained silent, maintaining a smile. Xiao Wei, sensing Xiao Xian's displeasure, felt a surge of pride. She turned to Ding Xiang with warmth, saying, Ms. Ding, you've had a tough day. Make sure to eat well and rest early. There's not much entertainment here in the wilderness, and you must have endured a lot. When we reach Huning City, we'll host a banquet in your honor. Ding Xiang, smiling faintly, replied, We're very close to Huning City, not really in the wilderness. Besides, I'm not that delicate, let alone aggrieved. I've lived in Huning City for a few years. Xiao Wei forced a smile, You're truly an admirable woman. We owe it to General Meng and Ms. Ding's assistance today. When we arrive in Huning City, we'll make sure to treat you well and express our gratitude. Ding Xiang nonchalantly shrugged, Sounds good. I'll be waiting for your hospitality and thanks. Xiao Wei, forcing another smile, said, Certainly, certainly. Oh, I need to have a private chat with my sister now. Miss Qiao, would you mind giving us some space? Xiao Wei froze, anger simmering within her. She was about to burst from the praise Xiao Xian received, yet now Ms. Ding was requesting privacy to speak with her sister, a clear signal to keep her distance after all the flattery. Ding Xiang threw a glance at Xiao Xian and smiled. Sister, I'm not an outsider, and we used to be related by blood. You won't mind, will you? Xiao Xian, recognizing the theatrics, understood Ding Xiang's intentions. Her response was clear and straightforward. I do mind. Xiao Wei, appearing shocked and hurt, glanced between Xiao Xian and Ding Xiang. Ding Xiang burst into laughter and said, Miss Qiao, please. Chased away once again, Xiao Wei couldn't bear to stay any longer. Face alternating between red and white, she bit her lips and declared, I know you've always had a prejudice against me. In that case, I won't be an eyesore to my sister. Ms. Ding, I'll speak with my wife later. Ding Xiang smiled, offering no reply. Xiao Wei left, trying to maintain composure, and Ding Xiang couldn't help but express her disdain. What a wretched woman. Men seem to like this kind of woman the most, the easiest to deceive. When I see her, my hands itch. I really want to whip her a few times. Xiao Xian chuckled. Only a brainless man would fall for someone like her, so who cares about him? True. The two women exchanged a knowing look and laughed. Qiao Xian, concerned that Ding Xiang might be deceived by Qiao Wei's shameless demeanor, shared the history of their grudge. Ding Xiang, outraged, sympathized, "You're so innocent and kind. It's no wonder you were bullied so badly by them. Fortunately, everything is in the past now. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1494, Anger, I knew it. No matter how I look at her, I don't like her. She is indeed not a good person. Qiao Xian smiled. Only someone as smart as you can tell what is going on. Ding Xiang smiled and said, "She only spoke 3 sentences, and I already knew that she was AB'TCH. She's not much, but fortunately, she doesn't know how to read the situation. Even if I ignore her, she can still speak so enthusiastically alone." As she spoke, she raised her eyebrows. How did such a person get into the marriage escort team? She must have caused a lot of trouble along the way, right? I think she has a lot of malice towards you and is very indignant. Such a person is despicable and shameless. Sister, you have to be careful. Don't let Lord Xiao be schemed against by her. I think if she could make you sad by tricking Lord Xiao, she would be happy to do it. Qiao Xian was convinced. Ding Xiang was so straightforward. Qiao Wei was not only happy to do it, but she had already done it. She just failed. However, what happened that night could not be mentioned. If it spread, it would be equivalent to ruining Qiao Wei's reputation. At that time, it would be self-defeating, and he would have to give her an explanation. Sister, you're right. I was also on guard. Fortunately, my husband isn't muddle-headed. Ding Xiang was reminding Qiao Xian with good intentions. Hearing Qiao Xian's words, she knew that both of them were not on good terms with Qiao Wei. She smiled. Lord Xiao is indeed the primus, different from other people. Soon, it was time for dinner. There was no village or shop. Dinner was nothing more than roasted meat, boiled water to make tea, and cooked a pot of porridge. If they were lucky, they could get some green vegetables and bones to make a pot of soup. If they were unlucky, they could only drink a bowl of porridge and a bowl of tea to relieve their boredom. When Ding Xiang and the others came out, the dry rations they brought were still very fresh. Although they were hard and could be used as bricks to smash people, they tasted delicious after being soaked in meat soup. After dinner, Ding Xiang ignored Xiao Wei who was buzzing around like a fly, so she took Qiao Xian for a walk and walked around for a while before they came back. Xiao Wei had not recovered from her leg injury yet, so she could not follow him at all. She could only watch as he gave up, feeling very resentful. She was sure that Qiao Xian had said bad things about her in front of Ding Xiang, so Ding Xiang disliked her and ignored her. When she saw Qiao Xian, she looked as if she wanted to eat her up. Seeing her expression, Qiao Xian guessed what she was thinking. She chuckled inwardly. She had told Ding Xiang a lot of things, but she was telling the truth. She had never wronged Xiao Wei. Qiao Xian did not explain her relationship with Ding Xiang either. It was not until they arrived at Huning City and moved into the station that Qiao Xian told Xiao Wei about Ding Xiang's identity with a smile. Hearing the blank look on Xiao Wei's face, Qiao Xian could laugh for half a year. Xiao Wei was so angry that her face turned pale. She gritted her teeth. So that was what happened. So Ms. Ding was from Xiaoding Village, and Xiao Xian had helped Ms. Ding a lot when she was still in Xiaoding Village. That was why Ms. Ding had been so close to her from the beginning. It was no wonder that Ms. Ding had a strange look in her eyes when she said some words about Xiao Xian. Thinking of her schemes, Xiao Wei felt both embarrassed and annoyed. That damn bitch had played her like a fool. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1495, returning to Huning City. They finally arrived at Huning City safely. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They had finally returned to Great Qin's territory. Although Huning City was still far from the capital, and it would take at least half a month to return to the capital, this was still their own territory. At least they could stay in an inn every night. If they were lucky, they could even stay in a courier station. It was much better than those in the wilderness. Everyone had been frightened along the way, so Xiao Yunduan ordered them to rest in Huning City for 3 days and then return to the capital. In these 3 days, everyone had to sell all the goods they brought back from Qingdi. Only very few valuable items were allowed to be stored in their respective luggage. They had to be covered up and not reveal their tracks. The imperial court had its own rules and regulations that could not be violated. If they openly transported goods back to the capital, it would be too unbecoming of the imperial court. When Ding Xiang found out about this, she waved her hand and called the shopkeepers and stewards under her to wrap up all the goods and give everyone the most favorable price. Everyone was overjoyed and praised General Meng's advanced righteousness. Meng Wanfu sent more than half of his men back to Baiming Pass, leaving only a dozen guards to stay in Huning City with Ding Xiang for a few days. They would return to Baiming Pass after Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian returned to the capital. Ding Xiang and Xiao Xian were very close to each other, so she showed Xiao Xian around Huning City enthusiastically, hoping that Xiao Xian could stay in Huning City for a while longer. The two of them also agreed to come and visit often in the future when they were free. The distance between the capital and Huning City was not very far. If they traveled by a light car, they would be able to arrive in 6 to 7 days. Anyway, they all had a lot of time. Knowing the relationship between Ding Xiang and Xiao Xian, Xiao Wei felt too embarrassed to approach Ding Xiang again. Although she wanted to join them, she realized it would only result in embarrassment. While Xiao Xian and Ding Xiang were out exploring, Xiao Wei refrained from following them. However, upon Xiao Xian's return to the station in the evening, Xiao Wei angrily stopped her to vent her frustration through complaints and mockery. Lixia, Qiao, and Mianmian's expressions darkened, their desire to give Xiao Wei a few slaps evident. Despite the provocation, Xiao Xian had no time to engage with her. She started scolding Xiao Wei, but abruptly pushed her away and left. Furious, Xiao Wei struggled to catch her breath and went back to her room, unleashing her anger by cursing loudly and even smashing a few decorations. Qiao He, who had recovered from her injuries, tried to calm Xiao Wei down. Xiao Wei, seething with rage, questioned her in a low voice, "Why are those people so useless? The sluggish pace on the road has delayed us for so long, and they still couldn't shake them off." Filled with frustration, Qiao He shared her thoughts, realizing that a faster pace would make slipping away easier. The slower they were, the more stable and vigilant they became, making it challenging to execute any plan. Reflecting on the failed encounter with bandits, Qiao He comforted Xiao Wei before heading to the kitchen to fetch her some food. Despite plans for a banquet, Xiao Wei, still seething with anger, decided to dine alone in her room. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1496. She wants to kill you regardless. Even if she chose not to appear, nobody would take notice. The sight of those individuals was bothersome to her, including Ding Xiang and her husband, whom she found annoying. While Xiao Wei decided not to attend, Xiao Xian also didn't send anyone to invite her, as if she were inconsequential. The thought crossed her mind, was she truly dispensable? Fuming with anger, Xiao Wei nearly smashed the food in front of her. Despite Qiao He's attempts at persuasion, she reluctantly picked up her chopsticks to eat. Unexpectedly, at that very moment, Mianmian and Lixia stormed in accompanied by Yi, as well as Ding Xiang's maids, Qingyun and Qingshuang. Startled, Xiao Wei slammed her chopsticks on the table, questioning with a cold face, "What are you attempting by barging into my room with so many people?" Unfazed, nobody paid any attention to her. Lixia poured soup into a bowl and placed it on the table, gently pushing it in front of Qiao He. With a polite tone, she said, "Sister Qiao He, please eat." Perplexed, Qiao Wei looked at Qiao He for an explanation. Qiao He's expression shifted slightly. She stood still, neither moving nor speaking. Infuriated, Qiao Wei slammed the table, angrily shouting, "Li Xia! What are you doing? What is the meaning of this?" Li Xia continued to gaze at Qiao He without blinking. "Considering the time we've spent together, is this the respect you show? Or perhaps, the soup I personally scooped is not worthy of you, Sister Qiao He?" Frowning, Qiao Wei demanded, "What is the purpose of all this? Explain." Li Xia replied, "Or is it that you don't have the courage to drink it at all?" Qiao He's heart trembled, and her expression darkened even further. How did they know? It was impossible. Qiao Wei felt increasingly bewildered and suspicious. With a dark expression, she refrained from speaking. Li Xia picked up the soup bowl and extended it towards Qiao He. "Sister Qiao He, please." Qiao He chuckled lightly, saying, "This is quite unexpected. I didn't anticipate such high praise from you. Since you're so considerate, how can I refuse your goodwill?" Smiling, Qiao He accepted the soup bowl, gently stirring its contents with a spoon. She scooped up a spoonful, blew on it, and brought it to her mouth. Suddenly, she hurled the bowl at Li Xia, swiftly turning and leaping towards the open window. Her movements were remarkably agile, and she vanished before everyone's eyes in the blink of an eye. Simultaneously, Ai pursued her. Qiao Wei's expression shifted, and she exclaimed, "What are you attempting?" Unaware of Qiao He's true identity, Qiao Wei assumed Qiao He had been exposed, and Li Xia and the others were deliberately causing trouble to capture her. Terrified, she wondered if Qiao He's exposure also meant her own. The fear consumed her. Li Xia and the others exchanged sympathetic glances. "Miss Qiao, don't you understand? There's poison in this soup. You're trying to poison me. Miss Qiao, do you think harming you would require such elaborate tactics?" There were numerous opportunities along the way. Li Xia sneered and declared, "Since you're having trouble grasping the situation, let me clarify. The poison in this soup was planted by Qiao He under the watchful eyes of those monitoring her. It was Qiao He who intended to poison Miss Qiao. That can't be possible." Qiao Wei screamed, her face turning ashen. She was genuinely taken aback. While initially deeming it implausible, Qiao Wei couldn't ignore the sincerity in Lixia's words. As Li Xia pointed out, if someone like Xiao Xian wanted her eliminated, they wouldn't resort to such elaborate schemes. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1497, Truth. But how could Qiao He do this? Why? How dare she? Whose idea was this? Qiao Wei felt a sudden wave of terror, unable to comprehend what she had done to warrant such treatment. Seeing her dazed and confused state, Li Xia compassionately explained, "Miss Qiao, this may seem perplexing. Why would Qiao He want to end your life? The answer lies in the strategic implications. Your demise here in the relay station would cast our lord and madams as the prime suspects. They would be defenseless. As an officially registered escort, your death would provide ample grounds for accusation. Our lord would find himself trapped, unable to escape prison. His reputation might be tarnished, and he could even face mortal danger. In the grand scheme, you're just a pawn strategically employed to target our lord and madam." Qiao Wei collapsed to the ground, a thud resonating through the room. All vitality seemed drained from her, her face drained of color as she stared ahead with vacant eyes. "Impossible, this is impossible," she protested, but the chill in her heart grew with each passing moment. She wasn't naive. Many things became clear with a bit of thought. The rift between her and Xiao Xian was no secret, and the long-standing grudge between the Qiao family and Xiao Xian was well known. The ongoing conflict with Xiao Xian was a public spectacle, yet everyone chose to turn a blind eye. Recalling the heated argument with Xiao Xian today, she realized Qiao He had deliberately fueled the flames with provocative words. Anger clouded her judgment, prompting her to intervene and stop Xiao Xian from further quarreling. It was also Qiao He's idea to skip today's banquet and deliberately stir up trouble for them, but after the events that unfolded today, culminating in her being poisoned to death, did most people assume Qiao Xian was the culprit seeking revenge? Qiao Xian's audacity stemmed from the backing of Xiao Yunduan, the crown prince's favored minister. With such support, she recklessly pursued her agenda without concern for consequences. Wuxia was correct. Xiao Yunduan was the primary target of this intricate plot. Qiao Wei was merely a pawn meant to be sacrificed. Escaping suspicion for murder was a formidable challenge for Xiao Yunduan, given the tangled web of old and new grievances, coupled with the encouragement provided. The orchestrator behind the scenes wouldn't allow him an easy escape. It made sense. Qiao Wei bit her lips so hard it almost bled. It dawned on her why someone had sought her out, compelling her to join the escort team. The incentives presented were tempting. They wanted her to keep tabs on Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, stirring up trouble to eliminate them. In return, a life of wealth awaited her. Even though the person's identity seeking her out wasn't explicitly confirmed, the unmistakable hints led her to believe it was the fourth prince. She placed unwavering trust in the fourth prince's capabilities, relying on his assurance without doubt. Little did she know that this was not a path to a marriage alliance but an irreversible journey. No wonder Qiao He remained silent throughout the journey. She casually and indifferently brushed him off when she couldn't dissuade him any longer, knowing it was a path of no return. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1498. No other choice in their perception, she seemed destined for demise from the very beginning to the end. Who would have the patience to engage in conversation with someone they considered already departed? A chill ran down Xiao Wei's spine, and her eyes welled up with tears. Lixia's voice cut through the air, cold and stern. Do you comprehend now? Your actions have brought significant trouble to our lord and lady. Those individuals may not be inclined to let you off lightly. Madam has declared that from today onward, Mian and Mian will be your constant companions. However, they are not at your beck and call, you cannot command them. Qiao Wei remained silent. She understood that Xiao Xian had instructed them to safeguard her life, but ultimately, Xiao Xian showed no concern for her own well-being. The protection extended only to herself and Xiao Yunduan. Gratitude eluded her, she only felt the bitter irony of the situation. Never had she imagined such a day in her relationship with Xiao Xian. Having spoken her piece, Wuxia exited the room with Qiao. Mian stayed behind, Mian would join later. Meanwhile, Ai failed to apprehend Qiao He alive. Cornered with no escape, Qiao He chose immediate suicide by poison. Fortunately, the courtyards were currently vacant. Ai swiftly reported the incident, and Sun Qian discreetly ordered someone to handle Qiao He's remains. A missing maidservant would draw no attention. After some time, 2 kitchen servants arrived in Xiao Wei's quarters. They shifted the table and arranged 2 dishes along with soup. Terrified and indignant, Qiao Wei couldn't fathom consuming anything. The sight of the dishes and soup intensified her sense of humiliation. Despite their seemingly immaculate appearance, she refrained from eating, and Mian refrained from urging her. Instead, Qiao Wei sat there, toying with her fingers, exuding a delicate and graceful aura. Qiao Wei seethed with anger. The impulse to reprimand Mian and release her frustration was strong, yet fear held her back. It was common knowledge that Mian was under the protection of Ai, an imposing figure with formidable strength and skills. Ai was stationed nearby, and any ill intentions towards Mian would undoubtedly incur his intervention. However, when Ai disciplined her, Xiao Xian remained uninvolved. Hatred consumed Xiao Wei. How had her life spiraled into such despair? The banquet concluded promptly. Given Xiao Yunduan and the others' fatigue, local officials showed understanding and did not prolong the event. Upon learning of Qiao He's demise, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan expressed no surprise. The fourth prince was evidently confident enough to orchestrate her downfall right under their noses. Capturing Qiao He alive had always been a daunting task. But Xiao Wei posed a significant challenge. Her safe arrival in the capital was imperative. He had strategically chosen the opportune moment for her assault. Qiao Xian's long-standing conflicts with her turned out to be a silver lining. With her second scheme thwarted, Xiao Wei could now put it behind her. Ding Xiang and Xiao Xian shared laughter in the parlor. Meanwhile, in the temporary study, Xiao Yunduan and Meng Wanfu sat across from each other, brewing and savoring tea. Their outward composure masked the gravity of their thoughts. Amidst the intense power struggle between the crown prince and the princes, even those not directly involved in the northern military affairs held their own insights. However, as the exposed relationship between Meng Wanfu and Xiao Yunduan unfolded, Meng Wanfu found himself without alternatives. Both of them were keenly aware of this reality. Originating from the same village, Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Xian, and Ding Xiang shared a common bond. Qiao Xian had rescued Ding Xiang, and in turn, they had collectively safeguarded Meng Wanfu. Even if Meng Wanfu aligned himself with the other princes, trust would remain elusive, shadowed by lingering suspicions. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Carefree Valley YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.